Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
It's Friday. You know what that means? It's another episode of Conquest Call-In Live. We would like to hear from you guys. This is the one show that is made for you guys, the fans. We may not be the last, but we are definitely the first to make you guys the stars of the show. So come on in. Come join the party. There's a lot to talk about with Big Ten football. We just had the media days this week. Some great quotes from all the participants, including some other coaches throughout the league. Love to hear everybody's thoughts on this, but I just left it as this. This is what we're leading off with. Lincoln Riley just basically said, hey, look, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. He said basically what USC is we're coming. You can't stop it, so get ready. I mean, I really like that the moxie he had, Matt. As always, again, over here is my editor, Matt. Every Friday, you guys make sure you're here at 7 o'clock and bring a friend next time. We want to grow the show, and the best way to do that is if you guys let your friends know, if you're on social media, or if you just by word of mouth, let them know that we're here for Trojan fans. I know there's a bunch of us out here. I'm excited. I got my SC gear on. I just got the momentum. I got the feeling from watching media days. It's something about it, Matt. It's in the air. It's almost here. You can almost feel it. Matt,
we're definitely getting to that. We're definitely getting to that time of year. I mean, and like Tim, like you folks, Tim, like the bear came out of hibernation this week. Tim crushed it at Big Ten Media Days, wrote a ton of stories that you can find on Trojans Wires. Like this felt like the beginning of the season for Tim, and it also felt like the beginning of the season for me at Trojans Wire. Like this felt like, okay, now we're just on the on-ramp, like off season's over, and now we have a continuous cycle of actual news to talk about. That's pretty good. So we're going to take your calls, and hey, let's just set the table here since we have someone in the chat. 3-hour show tonight. Well, guys, if you want a 3-hour show, and we're willing to give you 3 hours, but you know what? We need $250 in the first 2 hours. So $250 by midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific. If you do that, we're on board for a full third hour to 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific. But like, it's a fundraiser driven show. We always give you a free hour. So like, that's just the same as it's always been forever. Okay. But if you want 3 hours, like time costs money. So, and here we go with our NIL leader here at the Voice of College Football, Adam, right off the bat. So we have a second hour locked in. 2 hours guaranteed. Thank you, Adam. You are the man, as always. But if you want a third hour, so now we got 10 from Roy. Thank you, Roy. So we need 140 more if you want a third hour here on the Conquest Call-In Show.
Yeah, Roy, thank you so much. Again, two of our obviously financial supporters, but two of our biggest and longest supporters on the show. Thank you guys so much for being here. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll hear from at least one of you tonight. But we've set the table, you guys. What do you want to hear about? And to be clear, every single week we do an hour show. That's what this is. This is an hour. But people started asking for us to stay on for 2 hours, for 3 hours. And like Matt said, I'm usually down. But Matt's like, look, man, I'm an editor. I'm busy. I don't have time for it. But thanks to Adam, looks like we have a second hour. And we're on our way to a third hour. So appreciate everyone being here. But I want to steer us back to the Big Ten media days. Again, Lincoln Riley, I wish, if I was more prepared, I would have the quote right up here for you. I'll pull that up as we take our first call. I'll pull that up because, again, I was just sitting there watching it and just loved the way he said it. There's so many negative comments from the media as they were asking questions of the players and of Lincoln Riley, almost like, hey, you guys are entering the Big Ten. Would you like to kiss the ring on the way in? It's like, Lincoln Riley's like, hey, hold on a minute, I don't want to mess up the quotes because the quotes are so golden. But basically, he just said, we didn't just start playing football. And quite frankly, USC's history, he said, we'll put up our history with anybody in the Big Ten. And if anyone knows anything about the history, USC dominates every series that it has with the Big Ten. They're close to Michigan, and it's close with Ohio State. But if you look at the last, if you look since 1970 or so, so if you're like 50 years or younger, USC has dominated pretty much every series in the Big Ten. Hi, caller. Sorry to keep you waiting. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller, you there? Oh, we lost our caller. Caller, call back in. Sorry about that. We did have your call, but we lost it.
And hey, folks, you're wondering what we're going to talk about. Hey, we'd like to just get it straight from you. Like, there are so many newsworthy developments at Big Ten Media Days. We have at least 2 hours, thanks to Adam, and we'll see if we get a third hour. This is your time to bring up each of these little stories, because there are a lot of interesting quotes, a lot of interesting developments, plenty to talk about. So call us and let's get it rolling here on the Conquest Call-In Show.
Speaking of which, hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Angel, Los Angeles.
Angel, thank you for calling in. What is on your mind today?
Well, just 2 points. The first one is I want your reaction on the ranking of US being ranked 5th in the Big Ten. And the second question I would like to respond to is this latest rumor that Juju may not be coming to SC. So those are my 2 questions. To hear your comments. Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Well, feel free to hang on for a minute, Angel, if you want to respond. Okay, so let's hit the first one, Matt. The USC was ranked behind. So we kind of anticipated that obviously going to be behind. We got another call. Hey, caller, hang on one second. Let's wrap this first one up first. We kind of anticipated that they'd be behind Ohio State, or they'd be behind Oregon. They'd be probably behind Michigan. But then the curveball comes when there's someone slotted in 4th, and that was Iowa. Maybe Kirk his campaign, Kirk Ferentz campaign to kind of just take shots at USC during the entire offseason paid off. But I went around a little bit with I think it was Mark on Monday about this. I mean, sorry, we had Penn State, then Iowa, then USC. Sorry, I'm getting the lineup confused. So I went around on this saying that I feel USC is probably closer to Penn State than they are to Iowa. But according to the poll, the press poll that they have USC slide in behind Iowa. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
Well, I'm not surprised USC's picked to be 5th. I did think Michigan would be higher, but I'm not surprised that USC's 5th, because people are skeptical of Lincoln Riley and USC's ability to play defense. And, that's not unreasonable. But, as we've discussed, where I get a little cranky and ornery is that people say Lincoln Riley's not taking defense seriously. You know what? That changed, right? That changed. He had an epiphany. The scales fell from his eyes, saw on the road to Damascus. Lincoln Riley got hit in the face and he realized, oh, yeah, I better take defense seriously. So, it's not as though he's coming back and tripling down on Alex Grinch. He went out and hired a real defensive staff. So that's the part I get upset about, that people aren't giving Lincoln Riley credit for that. But as I told Mark Rogers yesterday on his Big Ten live show, I don't know if you saw that, folks, but if you didn't, I made the point, this seems to be my epiphany about the national media and Lincoln Riley. They're aware of his defensive staff hires, but they think that as long as Lincoln's at the top of that organizational chart, as long as he's at the top of the pyramid, there won't be accountability on defense. I think that's really where national pundits are on Lincoln Riley, that he can make all the coaching changes he wants, but they just don't think that he's going to insist on elite defensive performance. So that's the nuance. I think that, disregarding the defensive staff, a lot of commentators have done that, and that is BS. But to think that Lincoln Riley won't be accountable to his defense, yeah, we need to see that. I'm not saying they're right, but I can understand the skepticism.
I don't know. It just sounds more bullshit to me to have shots at USC and Lincoln Riley. again, I'll go back to my previous standpoint when we ever talked about USC and not or Lincoln Riley not caring about or not not being accountable for their defense. Man, I have to disagree. I'm sorry. This man wants to win. By all reports, he competes. He competes with his brother. He competes with everyone around him. There's no way I can ever imagine Lincoln Riley being not on top of his team. And also another big thing came up is like giving up the play calling, right? And what his role should be as a CEO and et cetera, et cetera. Look, this man is at the top of the game when it comes to calling plays, period. And he did say, hey, look, it's at any point in the future, if I feel that my play calling is actually hurting the team in some way, or I can help, or I need it somewhere else, and I need to relinquish play calling, I'll do it. But it just doesn't seem like the right call when you have basically, in my opinion, the best play caller in college football step down and give someone else. It would literally be hurting your team for him to do that. And I don't think this whole idea is overblown about being the CEO. Of course he is. But what if he has other people on staff that are working with that, and there's other staff members within the department that work on. He shouldn't be micromanaging. He should be giving up what he does great. You do what you do best. You delegate the rest. You delegate a lot of other stuff to the people that should be doing it, not the other way around. Lincoln Riley is an offensive guy. He's a great head coach. He's not doing these head scratchers like we're seeing up in Eugene during game management. We're not seeing that from Riley. If we were, like we saw with Helton and with previous coaches, they were trying to do a little too much, then I get it. But until I see that, and until Lincoln Riley shows he's not accountable to his defense or doesn't care about defense, again, I don't know. That just seems like an easy way to take a shot at Lincoln Riley. I'll go with what the players and the coach have been saying. We'll just let it play out on the field. But I think that there's going to be a lot of writers out there eating crow about the way they talked about USC. Sorry, caller. Thanks for waiting. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, wait. Sorry. Wait. Hang on one more second. We went long-winded on that one. Juju, as far as we know, Juju is still coming to USC. He hasn't committed. He's stretching out. People are saying this could be NIL. This could be a bunch of other things. I've heard rumors that he's reached out to Longstreet as a backup. Longstreet came in for a practice late in spring. It's maybe like a backup plan. I think there's all a lot of drama. Until otherwise, you guys, I've never seen a guy who says I'm committed. He has not once said or wavered verbally. People are reading into all of his actions and running with it. So I'll save that rumor until we actually get something tangible from his camp that would show that he's wavering on his commitment. All right, I'm sorry, caller. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, this is Leon, Orlando, Florida. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. Did you say Leon?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, Leon. I remember. Yeah. How you doing? What's on your mind tonight?
Man, things, man. I know we're talking about this different topic, USC and Big Ten Media Day, and let's about big for a second. Have you guys seen the thread that Rusty put up today? Fight on Rusty put up on the average time weights for the USC, LSU, Wisconsin, Minnesota State. Looks like USC is going to be okay. I know we talked earlier in the year about getting some bigger plays, getting some zero technique tackles in there, and it looks like Kenny Wiley did his job on the off season.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Those guys, I'm pulling it up right now, Matt. Your thoughts on the body transformations that have been happening since Grinch left, and he was putting the order out for what he wanted to see on the field, as opposed to now this year and the shift that they're doing with Danton Lynn's request for how he wants his defensive line to look like and linebackers.
Well, Tim's going to be reporting at August preseason camp, so he'll be able to see up close just what these bodies look like. I'm here in Phoenix at Trojans Wire HQ, so I don't have the same benefit of being able to see this team up close. But, let's just see what we do against LSU. Let's see how these guys are able to hold up against the physical challenge posed by LSU. That's really the long and short of it.
Well, there is no shortage of 300-pounders now, 385, 395, 300-pound. Nate Clifton up to 395, came in from Vanderbilt as more of an edge guy. But now he's going to be most likely moving inside. Matter of fact, he's listed right there as defensive tackle. So there you go. At putting on the extra weight at 10, 15 pounds on to get to 295. So I think they knew what they were doing. I mean, I didn't have any information, but if anyone's been watching the show long enough, I've been saying, they just didn't really fully sell out to pull guys in for that tackle, that nose tackle position. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I do think that they have something that they have worked out to where they don't need to throw 800 to $1 million at a guy who is a very solid and a conference level player, but he's not a first round draft pick. So I'm interested to see exactly what Coach Henning can do with these guys and the added size that they put on in the offseason. I mean, which is, you guys out there, it's not easy to put 15, 20 pounds of good weight on. These guys had to work super hard in the offseason to get to these points. So I hope they get the credit that they do deserve.
Yeah, Jade Adversary and Anthony Lucas look like straight, man. They're like monsters. It's complete. If you go look at what Anthony Lucas looked like last year and what he looks like now, it looks like a total different human being.
Yeah, especially you could see it in the arms, couldn't you? When you looked at some of the pictures from him, and then you see some pictures from him in the spring. Well, you saw it in the spring, and we saw it in the spring. He in the spring during spring camp, he just looked noticeably bigger, and at the spring game. So it's great to see. I mean, I don't think the whole Oklahoma thing that Benny Wiley's a yoga instructor. I knew that was a bunch of BS. I knew he was just following what he was being told to do by Grinch. And now that he has the new marching orders, the order's up and the plate's coming out, and that's exactly what they were asked for, and that's what we're being given so far.
And the other thing, real quick, everybody wants to talk about Oregon and Ohio State and number 1 and number 2 in the Big Ten. Man, I'm not too sold on either one of those starting quarterbacks for either team. If you look, Dylan Gabriel, 14 of his 30 touchdowns came against SMU, West Virginia, and Tulsa last year. You know what I mean? It's not like he put up 5 touchdowns against Texas or something. And then what's the starting quarterback for Ohio State, the guy they brought up for Kansas State? I'm not sold on him either. I mean, I think we're gonna shock some people, man. I really think we are.
I just don't. I think it's disingenuous the way that the national media have talked about USC and their defense like no changes were made. I mean, yes, there have been some like almost empty platitudes, but when they actually talk about the team, and if you would have heard any of if you listened to any of the not on the main stage, but when they got off to the side stages, the smaller stages, just some of the absurd questions that some of the Big Ten media were asking the USC personnel and the USC coaches, just are you afraid? It was almost embarrassing the way that they were talking down to like, you're coming into the Big Ten. I mean, you had trouble in the Pac-12. What do you do when you get to face 85 Bears in the Big Ten? I mean, don't get me wrong here. There's going to be some good defense played in the Big Ten, but I liked Riley's answer. It's not like USC just started playing football. It's not like Oregon just started playing football. It's not like Washington, UCLA don't know how to run the ball. I mean, those are USC probably of the 4 probably hasn't lived up to the trenches and running the ball really hard like some of those other schools have. But I do think that's going to change very shortly.
Tim, are we really going to see some really great defenses with all the Big Ten does, other than Ohio State is run the ball? Ohio State and Penn State, everybody else just runs the ball. It's smash mouth football.
Well, Maryland has a pretty good, they've got a pretty good offense. Matt, you want to fill me in a little more? You're more of a Big Ten guy than me, but it's not just. They're not all Iowa when it comes to offense. I'll put it that way. So don't get it twisted. Not everybody's Ohio State, but not everybody's Iowa in offense. And Iowa is gonna make a big impact. They got a new offensive coordinator. They're hoping McNamara could be a guy. Matt, go ahead. You'd probably be able to fill a little bit more on the offenses in the Big Ten.
Well, the offenses in the Big Ten aren't that great. Like, I think that the conventional wisdom is fundamentally accurate, but you have Oregon, you have Washington, also coming in, and like that's going to be one of the main stories. That what's going to be the push and pull in terms of how much the West Coast schools influence how the Midwestern schools, the long-standing Big Ten schools, play, and how much are the Big Ten, the long-standing Midwestern schools, going to influence how the West Coast schools play. So like that's an unknown, that's a variable. And remember, the other big variable in the Big Ten this year is that you don't have divisions anymore. So Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue, Nebraska, Northwestern, they were all able to play each other. They usually were able to avoid two of the big three in the East, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Now they don't have that escape hatch. And on the other hand, if you're like Indiana, if you're Maryland, if you're Rutgers, you're no longer playing all three of Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. So that's going to be new in the Big Ten, that certain schools are going to get a more advantageous schedule and others are going to have a much more brutal schedule. So that is all part of the picture in the Big Ten. But in terms of USC, and in terms of the way the media treated the Trojans, this would not be happening if USC had won 10 or 11 games last year. This happened because last year was a crash and burn, because USC lost 5 games and looked Charmin soft. If USC looked 10-2 and looked the way USC fundamentally should look, we're not having this conversation. But I think Tim at times, rightly points out that the media is a little bit condescending and likes to jab USC. I think that's partly true, but a lot of this is just USC sucked last year, and we need to acknowledge that. And when Lincoln Riley said we're playing catch up at USC, all right, it's true. He inherited the Clay Helton mess. It's true, as Tim has said, you're not going to build an elite skull crusher offensive line right away, given what Clay Helton did. You're not going to build an elite defensive line right away. Tim is correct about that. But, for the national media to say, stop whining, Lincoln, like at USC, you shouldn't be playing catch up. Is that fundamentally unreasonable for the media to treat Lincoln Riley that way? I don't think so. No.
Yes. Here's why. Lincoln Riley hasn't been running Lincoln Riley hasn't been running USC for the past 10 years. Okay? That's why it's fundamentally wrong to blame Lincoln Riley for this mess. Lincoln Riley walked into this mess. Matter of fact, Lincoln Riley saw that mess and said, yeah, hold my beer, I got this. That's what Lincoln Riley did. Lincoln Riley didn't even flinch. He's like, all right, this place is an absolute mess. And fans, we all know it was a mess. And he said, okay, I got this. Now, the problem is the fans and the media that say, you want 11 games. What's the one I love to hear all the time? He brought the best player in football over, and then he lost 5 games in year 2. Like Caleb Williams can be split into 22 different people. I mean, he's one guy, you know what I mean? And we saw the trouble the defense, the offensive line had protecting him last year. That guy didn't just become, having trouble and putting up 20 points against UCLA and Notre Dame because it was Lincoln Riley and it was Caleb Williams. That happened because of deficiencies that started way before Lincoln Riley got here. Would you agree?
Yes.
Either one of you? So,
yes.
I mean, is it a Lincoln Riley problem, or is it it was a USC problem that Lincoln Riley's sorting out and he should have more than 2 years to do it?
Okay, Tim, you're correct. But here's the thing. In politics, and I'm not going to talk about politics in terms of, specific people. I'm just talking about politics generally. Part of the art of politics means winning people over, even if you might privately hate them or dislike them. You still want people to vote for you. You still want people to think well of you. And part of the art of politics means you don't get to say unfiltered exactly what you think all the time. Sometimes you have to be a bit of a diplomat. Sometimes you have to finesse things. So yes, Tim, it's not fundamentally at its core a Lincoln Riley problem. He did inherit a mess. But should you say publicly at Big Ten Media Days, USC's first Big Ten Media Days, we're playing catch up and we just don't have everything lined up?
Well, not with that voice, though. Not with that voice, it won't work.
Does the national media want to hear that? No.
You know what I want to hear? The truth. And you know what?
I was about to say.
That's the truth. Like, if we could argue, you guys can both argue me. That is the truth. If you want to go, well, yeah, you know what? We're just, this and that, and I just haven't done this. That wouldn't be true. He inherited this mess. He's not pointing fingers. What he's saying is the truth. Were we behind in the aisle? We sure were. Was our roster behind? It absolutely was. So
Tim, and that's
no, go ahead, Leon.
no. I was just going to say, Tim, that's exactly what we want. We get tired of coaches just giving us coach talk. We always say, I wish somebody would just tell us the truth. He told us the truth, and now we don't want to hear the truth. Which way do we want it?
That's
do we
fair,
want
Matt.
coach talk, or do we want the truth?
So he could be one of those guys. And by the way, some of the best coaches I've ever known throughout history of college football, they aren't diplomats, Matt, if you know what I'm saying. These guys, though, I'm not saying he's the guy. So everyone in the chat, I'm not saying he's Nick Saban, okay? But when was Nick Saban a diplomat? I mean, he would say what he was. Oh, well, you can say that because he wins. Why? Why not just have coaches that walk up there and say how it is? Because here's another point. No matter what Lincoln Riley is going to say, there is a portion of our fan base, even definitely other fan bases and the media, they're going to try to attack him and rip him. Like I was listening to a guy on Mark's show the other day. He's one of Mark's pundits, and he's like, I don't really listen to Lincoln Riley. I just think the guy's smug. I really don't like him. And I'm like, you don't listen to what he says and you have an opinion of him? I mean, again, that's the problem in the press. They just, well, I don't like Lincoln Riley, so I'm just going to crap all over him. And, oh, by the way, he doesn't care about defense. Okay, I've heard enough of that. Thank God this season is coming. Hey, Leon, I hate to move you along. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm going to get off. I want to give everybody else a chance. But guess what? Phil Jackson always told you the truth. If Michael Jordan sucked, he told you he sucked. He gave you the truth, and guess what? He's the best that ever did it. So let's just accept the truth and give the man a chance to write this season and get us back where we need to be. And I'll get off the phone after that.
Great call, Leon. Thank you so much for calling and appreciate you calling. Sorry I didn't recognize your voice right away. That's just my old man brain not working right. I appreciate you calling back in and being a consistent member here on the show. Thank you.
Oh, man. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Fight on.
Fight on. Matt, come on. Sorry, I cut you off. Does something you want to finish that with that before we get our next call?
No, let's go to the next call. We might circle back to it later. So,
speaking of the next call, because I memorized his phone number now, I'm going to tell you this. My brother actually says he wanted to do a banner that says this show brought to you by Adam Lamparello, because the second hour apparently is brought to you by Adam. Adam, first off, thank you so much for your generous donation, but more importantly, thank you for being here every week and supporting the show with your calls. How you doing?
Yeah, well, thanks so much. I'm happy to contribute. This is an awesome show, and you guys are great analysts. I just have a really quick question. So I graduated from SC in '97, and when I was there, John Robinson was the coach, Rob Johnson was our starting QB, and Steven Sample was the president. After I graduated, we had Paul Hackett, and then, of course, we had the Pete Carroll years. But when I was there, and in subsequent years, the culture at USC was that we wanted USC football to win a national championship. My concern now is that with Carroll Folt and with the issues we have with NIL, that the priority at USC is not to win a national championship, but rather to spread the money around for all sports. And I don't get the same sense that the culture at USC is as intent on prioritizing football and winning a national title. So I wanted to ask your thoughts about whether you agreed with that or not, and why.
Okay, yeah, I know you. Listen, I started out by saying I appreciate you and I love you being here, but let me say this to you. I'm gonna ask you a straight question. I want you to answer me. I'm gonna throw this to you. Ready? Who was more?
Yeah.
Who was more especially with the product on the field? Who would you say was more focused on winning football at USC? Right? You're talking about. I mean, I love, Steven Sample did a lot for this university. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I'm an alumnus, and I am grateful for the prestige, the traction that this school has made over the past 30 years. It's just amazing. But I'm who would you say? So Carroll Folt comes in after having Max Nikias run this damn program into the ground for years. Oh, right.
Okay.
And so again, I don't think it's a cop out for people to say, you don't just like you don't wave a magic wand, as I believe what Lincoln Riley said. This football program just has, it's almost like the only thing that can stop USC football is USC football. I really do believe that. Well, and the NCAA, when the Big Ten and the SEC say, "Hey, Daddy, come help us. We can't beat these guys. Can you make some bullshit? Can you just make up some crap up and throw in a tennis player and let's get rid of these guys?" Right? Okay. So besides that, there's really nothing that can stop USC football, and I think that's what Lincoln Riley. That's why I put the title of this call-in show is USC can stop USC. Max Nikias and what was ever going on with the leadership at USC. And I'm not talking about academics. I'm just, and I'm not talking about scandals. I'm not about anything. I'm just talking about the football product was poor. The choices that were made were poor. Carol Folt got here. She brought in Mike Bone, who, along with Sosna, brought us Lincoln Riley, man. And, people out there that are questioning Lincoln Riley and the hire and this and that, you guys are idiots. Sorry. Call me, come at me, wherever you want. It's a great hire, and we're lucky to have him. And then can I
respond to that, though?
Yeah, let me finish. I'm almost done. And then everything else. Then she brings in Jen Cohen, and who's brought together and given Lincoln Riley what he needs to bring the facilities that he was promised. They're bringing in a defensive staff that we know we need to have winning football. I don't know what you're saying is that Carol Folt is not putting this team and this program in a position to win. We heard Lincoln Riley, and I'm going to take him at his word. When he got here, basically NIL was at nothing. You know what I mean? The facilities were way behind. The roster was below standard. And now we're 2 years in screaming that they're not doing enough than Carol Folt. I mean, yeah, explain to me why Carol Folt hasn't done her job.
Okay, so Tim, I'll briefly say that, number one, I don't blame Lincoln Riley at all. And I think he's made some really good defensive hires, and I think we should be patient with him and support him to succeed. Carol Folt is on record saying she wants to win the right way. Carol Folt prohibited the hire of Urban Meyer and stuck with Clay Helton for 2 more years. Carol Folt and Jen Cohen have presided over an NIL that is a mess and that is not comparable to Oregon in any manner whatsoever. When I consider those 3 factors, I reach the conclusion, or at least I question, whether we have the kind of culture that wants USC to win a national championship.
Okay, fair. And as a college football fan, I'm like, I want to win no matter what. And believe me, by the way, when you say win the right way, it kind of rubs me wrong, because that was the Pat Hayden stuff. That was right after the NCAA came after and started their witch hunt with us. And then the messaging, having your AD saying we're going to win the right way. We were winning the right way. We were. I hate that phrase. It's wrong. It's unfair. It's bad. It's bad. So that right away I don't like. But as your alumnus, don't you?
Right.
We are not a football school. We're not. We're a university that has an elite football team, and I'm proud of that. I mean, I am. I live in Southern California, and I'm proud to be a Trojan. I mean, I don't hang my degree behind me, but it's a part. It brings a lot of pride to me. And listen, if you're a USC football fan, that's fine. But you're talking to the wrong guy, because I like that kind of conversation. We are better than that. We aren't going to win. We're not going to bring in Urban Meyer because of what he did. I mean, listen, I don't want to win at all costs. I don't want to lower our standards to bring in a guy like that. That guy, I'm not here to judge Urban Meyer, but he made a lot of mistakes. And if you're going to be a public figure, if we're talking about being that persona and that image, you can't do that kind of stuff in public and have that kind of scandal and then be rolled into a major program. Because, why isn't he coaching in other big? There's been a lot of openings at other big schools. How come they haven't snatched him up? Why are we blaming Carol Folt for that?
Well, I think you raise a lot of great points, and I appreciate the discussion. But my problem is with Carol Folt. I do not think that she prioritizes football. I think that her statement that she wants to win the right way, her decision to stick with Helton, and the NIL mess is indicative of that. And I'm really proud of USC too. I mean, I love USC, and I'm so proud that I graduated from there. And I'm thrilled that our academics are good and we have a great university. But football is important too. And I don't think Folt is the right person for USC. And I think she should be let go.
Really quick. Who signed the check to get Lincoln Riley here? The buyout and the salary?
Carol Folt did.
Who signed off on breaking ground on the best, the most advanced, like I don't even know, the $1 billion facility they're bringing in, the football only facility? Who signed off on that one?
I'm sure that Carol Folk did, but she didn't.
Who brokered
establish
USC?
a robust NIL.
Who brokered USC into the Big Ten?
Adam doesn't like that
think was a
USC's in the Big Ten.
Huh? What, Matt?
I mean, this is a
Adam
great
doesn't like
great
that
discussion,
USC's
and I
in the
think you
Big
make some
Ten.
really good points. But
No, I'm with you. Listen, I again, you have every right to say as a football fan that you're not happy with it. I'm not sure if, well, again, unless you can bring something to me, I don't see the line that leads back to Carol Folt, other than you're saying she refused to hire Urban Meyer. And I know I'll get crap for this, but don't worry, I don't go to message boards anymore. I'm glad Urban Meyer's not here. Okay. I'm glad I'm not Urban Meyer. Sorry.
Okay, Adam, let me step in on this one. You know, what Tim said about facilities, defensive staff hires, and of course, bringing Lincoln Riley to USC. Like, I think Carol Folt does want to succeed in football. I think she takes it seriously to a certain extent. But, and this is the point where I think Adam's onto something. And remember several weeks ago when the NCAA made that ruling in the Tennessee case, the University of Tennessee case, basically kneecapped the NCAA in terms of NIL enforcement. We talked about the notion of, oh, now the gloves are off. Now USC doesn't have to worry about constraints. Like, now USC can really go after player acquisition. You know, USC can just be fully unchained and you know, be cutthroat. And then we spend a summer with Justice Terry and Isaiah Gibson and other big fish slipping through the cracks. And so the one specific point where I'm going to agree with Adam is that Carol Folt, and that emphasis on winning the right way, yeah, she's not willing to be a skull crusher. And in this line of work, this business, this industry, you need skull crushers. And it's worth noting that Lincoln Riley defended the NIL program at Big Ten Media Days. He thinks it's growing. He thinks it's heading in the right direction. Lincoln Riley defended Dave Emmerich, you know, a guy who a lot of people think, you know, might not be pulling his weight internally. And so I think Adam is onto something with this idea of USC needs skull crushers, and it doesn't have enough of them. I think that's a valid point.
Well, okay. So going back to losing Justice Terry and Gibson, that's something could have happened regardless of NIL. I mean, look, it was great. And remember, I'm going to keep repeating this to people. They never even came out on an official visit. They both came out. It was a knee-jerk reaction. And I say again, it's a plus for USC. Anyone says it's a black eye for USC, I will disagree. Is it NIL? Probably not. If we lost them to the Georgia Tech, then I'm thinking, oh, shoot, maybe it is NIL. But to lose them to Kirby Smart in Georgia, that's not a shameful situation, guys. You know, and most likely wasn't NIL. I think it was driven by, look, why you go across the country for a defense that's unproven. I'm sure that Coach Henney was a great coach in the NFL, but he hasn't proven he can get guys from a college into the pros, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've been doing it year after year after year. You don't leave home. Your cousins come watch you play. I mean, it's not a hard sell. But the fact that they thought about it, I'm loving that. That's where I take away that. And the NIL, I'm going to take their word for it until there's reason not to. USC started out behind. They're catching up. And like Lincoln Riley said, and like I've said about 6 months ago, when USC gets in the back to, you know, all this stuff, when it gets a roster back to where it should be and stuff, look out, because we know what USC can do. Because I do think we have the coaching, and once the roster's in place, we know what USC is going to do. One
really quick point for Adam and for everyone. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see. But maybe once these Big Ten television checks start cashing, and that added revenue keeps rolling in from the Big Ten media rights deal, you know, if we see USC stepping up and retaining more prospects, then what Lincoln Riley's been saying, like we're catching up, you know, like we're going to be in a better position soon, then it's all going to check out. But if with the Big Ten TV money, USC is not significantly increasing its results in the portal and on the trail, well, you know, then that narrative is going to linger.
And callers, I see you out there. I see you guys on the calc here right now. I'm getting to you guys right now, but I want, again, one more thing I have to say on the recruiting end of this thing. Recruiting is not just the bag. Anyone that's saying it's just a bag is wrong. And USC's defensive coaches just got here. I mean, literally yesterday, it feels like. These other schools, like we talk about Georgia, how long was Georgia recruiting Justice Terry for? How long were they recruiting Isaiah Gibson? How well does he know those coaching staffs? How well does he know USC? And the guys here in Southern California, Mater Day, right? You know, at Centennial, at Bosco, you know, right down, you can go down the list. They just got here. And really, even the guys got here 2 years ago. Sure, they're establishing and you're seeing some traction. But give these guys some time. You do need to establish these relationships with the players. It's not all about the money. There's a lot. And a lot of it is what Oregon's doing. And they're doing it well. They've got good recruiters. And they're established relationships. Oh, and they got the bag. Well, USC, give them time to establish those relationships and get the bag together, which is almost there. And it looks like it's there.
Right.
And then we'll start judging it going forward. Adam, really quick. Listen, I'm going to give you another shot. We got a bunch of callers, but I do want to hear from you. Hey, listen, these guys owe you an hour, so they could wait a couple minutes while you want to wrap this thing up.
Well, guys, I love your show. Thanks for the great discussion. I do support Lincoln Riley, and I want us to have a culture where we want to win a national title. I just worry that Carol Folt and the administration may not be as supportive as we need to be, but I hope that's not the case. Thanks again for taking my call, guys. I'll continue to support the show. You guys are awesome.
Thank you for everything. Everything. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam, for being part
Have a great evening. Yeah.
All right. And I will say to you, the one thing
You got it. Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that actions speak louder words. And I think Carol Folt might prove you wrong. So let's give her time. I mean, everything she's done so far, Adam, they haven't been half measures and they haven't been small. You know, you look at USC where we were before Lincoln Riley got here, and look, you know, and think about it. She got here during she inherited Helton and the mess that was. Yeah. And now look where we are right now. And I think if you give her flowers for what she's done and now what she hasn't done or she hasn't done yet, it might help you to possibly give her a little more time to get us that national championship, make everyone happy. All right, Adam, thank you so much. Appreciate you calling in.
I hope you're right. Thanks so much. Yeah. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys, there are 7 of you right now, and we had 9. And I'm sorry, I was not going to cut Adam short. The man is so generous. Not just the money.
If there's one caller we're going to go along with, it's Adam, because he's our sugar daddy right now.
And it's not, and it really isn't the money. I'm being dead serious. And Adam knows this because one, I don't agree with him. I don't, and we go back and forth. I appreciate the fact that he's literally called in, if not every show, 90% of our shows, and he's always in our chat. And to me, the money's great, but when it all trickles down, what I see is tiny. But what I do appreciate is fans like everybody out there taking their Friday to come talk Trojan football with us. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, guys. Dave from Iowa.
What's up, Dave? How you doing?
Good. Well, first off, again, as always, thank you guys for letting me call in. I really appreciate it. Second thing, I'm joking when I say this, but it looks like Benny Wiley is going to keep his job after seeing the players actually gain the right weight at the certain positions.
I never doubted him.
The 2 things I wanted, yeah.
Hey,
no. Wait. Whoa. No.
Stop.
No aha. No aha.
Okay. Hold on. Can we beat LSU first before we give Benny Wiley some credit?
That was literally what I was about to say. But by the way, since day one, I have not had an issue with Benny Wiley. I did say if you remember, Matt, I said that what is the job of the strength coach? Give the coaches what they want. And we pretty much know what Grinch wanted: smaller guys, quicker, speed defense. Now they want to beef up. They beefed them up. But you're right. There's one thing to look like Tarzan and play like Jane. That's the old saying. I'm not saying that about our team whatsoever. I'm sure someone will twist that. We need to see, can they play with this size? Because remember, one thing about body transformations, you put on 30 pounds, how does it affect your play? How does it affect your stamina? These are all big parts of this. But again, Matt, you got to get a little room here because we had to get bigger and we're not deep. So if it's that kind of situation, I'm not going to have an issue. But if we're getting thrown around the first quarter, then it's like, okay, we got bigger, but did we get stronger? And I mean, I think that's all going to be answered very quick. And I have very little to no doubt that we will be happy. Go ahead, Dave.
just saying, Matt, I did say I was, joking about it. I do agree. Yeah, let's see to what the games look like. But so anyway, two things I wanted to ask you guys on. In terms of Lincoln Riley's response to the defensive improvement from the spring ball, he did say, tackling, which is great. But, I was just curious what you guys would think if, if tackling wasn't there, if you didn't say tackling, what do you think or what do you expect in terms of the defensive improvement would be this season? And then second, it was kind of disappointing to hear, to see on Twitter about the whole, what Gabe and Trojan Blade is going through right now. What's your take on that situation, from our perspective as, hearing about that situation with USC and Trojan Blade?
Okay, well, Trojan Blades, he and I are close friends. We've been pretty much talking together since we both started doing YouTube. I know he loves and bleeds Cardinal and Gold. Absolutely, what he did, he was doing that. He was given legitimate information by someone that should be very aware of the situation. How do I put this? I wasn't happy. I guess I just tried to discourage him from making the video and saying kind of let play out. But you know what? Here's the point. What he did, he felt like he should do. And I stand by him. And he was not trying to hurt the university. Matter of fact, if you watch that video, he's very supportive of the university and Lincoln Riley and everyone else. Mm-hmm. He was just making a point about what he had heard about Dave Emmerich, and he went public with it. And again, the guy is a hardcore Trojan fan that I've ever met in my life. His dad's an alumnus. He's been a Trojan his entire life. It doesn't matter if he's living in California or if he's living in Ohio or living in Arizona. He's rocking his Cardinal and Gold. He's talking USC all the time. The crap someone was sending me links to the Peristyle board. These guys are posting and they're ripping on him like he's a pretend insider. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. Gabe knows like everybody. And so I don't know why they're, I'm surprised that certain people that are quote unquote, they are insiders, share nothing damning, but share any information with some of these people, because it's hilarious the way the internet mobs go after people, and on Twitter and on message boards. It's embarrassing to try to go after a Trojan like this. I think that there was something went on within the as far as my understanding is they were kind of doing a blanket thing where they're scrubbing people's videos. They're trying to get a hold of their intellectual properties and making sure that it won't be used by anyone. And he just got caught up in it. He tweeted, he emailed them, and they fixed the problem. So now, in my opinion, it's over. It's done. It is what it is. And recently, Lincoln Riley came out and supported Dave Emmerich. Also brought up the point that, he was an instrumental part in putting together his defensive staff. And I don't think anyone's saying that Dave Emmerich isn't good at what he does, or anyone saying that, well, how do I put it? That he hasn't done, other things great, but there's something coming out and people are saying things. And it's not Gabe. This didn't start with Gabe. And it's unfortunate. I think he was the person that became the lightning rod for the whole situation. And I'm glad, though, I will say this. I'm glad USC fixed the problem. His channel's fine. He's I believe okay with everything. He's probably a chat. He can tell me where I'm wrong on any of this. And it's just really time to move on. I got so fired about it because, again, I think the guy's great. I absolutely talk about support of this show. He retweets everything we do. And I can't tell you if there's the off chance there's anybody at the university watching this guy loves USC. And, we all, if you feel he made a mistake, that's fine. I'm glad you fixed the situation because everything's good now. The Trojan family should be supported. It should be all of this. And I'm hoping that everybody comes out of this thing a little bit better. There are still some people, I will say this, there are people within the USC space that don't like people like me and Matt and Gabe and USCJ and the Light the Torch podcast and Carter. And I can go down the list that are just trying to give Trojan fans, a better perspective, more information on the program, and doing our best to, again, talk about the program we love. There are people in the space that don't give a shit about USC, and for people, USC fans, to come after Gabe, who loves USC, I don't know. I think it's just a bit stupid. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah,
I just think.
Sorry. I agree with you, Tim. It's ridiculous. It looks bad. It looks bad on USC as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I mean, again, what they told him was it was an accident. Gabe feels there were some things how it was done that doesn't seem like an accident. All I care about is that it's over, and I hope both parties could move forward. And again, he loves SC, and believe me, once they start looking at his work and what he does for the program, I think they'll love what he does well, because there are dozens of players, families, coaches, donors, you name it, that love what he does. And it would just be a shame to have the internet without Gabe's Trojan Blade. If you got, by the way, if you haven't checked it out, the link is in the description, and I hope you go check him out. I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
Just want to say Gabe's the best, and it's great to hear that situation's been resolved, but Tim spoke very eloquently on that point. So Dave, you also wanted to know about USC's defense. I think, just from Big Ten Media Days, the most noteworthy quote to me about the USC defense, Kamari Ramsey, because he was at UCLA. So he already knows the D'Anton Lynn system, and he was on a good D'Anton Lynn defense that actually proved D'Anton Lynn's system can work. Kamari Ramsey just says flat out at Big Ten Media Days, we're not soft. He was asked by Ashley Adamson, the former Pac-12 network anchor who's now working for a Big Ten network. He was asked, what makes a D'Anton Lynn defense? And he says, we're not soft. So exactly the opposite of what USC was last year. So when I hear Kamari Ramsey say, we're not soft, that means something. Now, Miller Moss said it's, quote, night and day from last year. Now, that might mean something, but here's the thing. We don't know yet that Miller Moss is a superstar. Now, he might very well be, and we all hope he will be.
He is.
But it could just be that Miller Moss is not all the way there yet. And so the defense dominating Miller Moss doesn't necessarily mean that the defense is exactly where it needs to be. How is that defense going to fare against LSU's elite offensive line? But when I hear Kamari Ramsey say, we're not soft, that's the quote that really means something to me from Big Ten Media Days.
I'm terrible about the quote, but I like that Matt, where he followed up talking about the defense, saying the philosophy is not to let the offense dictate the game. We dictate that D'Anton Lynn likes to dictate the style of play and takes, and it is, you look at, if you ever watch Baltimore, you watch UCLA last year, they don't sit back, they attack you and they make you adjust to them. So I do like that thought on it as well. And then shoot, Matt, you said something I totally forgot what it was, but it was a great point I want to follow up with, but maybe it'll come back to me, Dave. Night and day, we're not soft. Kamari Ramsey. No, it was before that. It was before just talking about the defense, but it's gone now. But Dave, listen, appreciate your call. Do you have anything really super fast you want to wrap up with? Because we got 7 callers waiting.
Nope, all good. Thank you guys. Fight on as always.
All right, great call, Dave.
Thanks for having me.
Before Tim takes the next call, hey, Jeff Rodriguez has made three $20.
I was about to ask you about that.
Yeah, so Jeff has ponied up $60. We're $80 away from getting a third hour, and Jeff mentioned in the chat, hey guys, can you match my $20 donations? So if we can get 4 matching $20 donations, or 5 $16 donations, or 8 $10 donations, we'll get you a third hour tonight on the Conquest Call-In Show. All right,
or
Tim.
16.5. Okay. Hey, and then also this one right here. I don't know if you caught John's comment, but there's many fans of NFL teams here, but the one team we can all cheer for is USC. Just win and watch it. Watch it be like the Dodgers that get to the city that can see support. What's with your keyboard, dude? Wait, hold on. I wasn't done. Oh, hang on. So just win and watch it be like the Dodgers. They get the city support home and away. But I'm with you, John. We are Southern California. There are a lot of pro fans, but there's also a lot. There's core fans. I always call it. Used to be in the old days. There was 55,000 no matter what that would show up at the Coliseum, and then obviously we would have like maybe 5,000 to 10,000 other fans that would show up, and then maybe some bandwagon popping on here and there. But when USC is winning, we've seen what that looks like at 93,000 selling out every single time. Now, granted, I will tell you, we didn't have the Chargers, we didn't have the Rams, but I do believe in this place. I do believe that Lincoln Riley can get this thing, the type of offense we're going to run with the attacking. I mean, think about it. How exciting is this going to be? We have an attacking defense that wants to take control of the game, and we have an offense that's probably just, again, the most superior offense that we've seen over the past 10, 15 years playing in the Coliseum. Talk about what LA and Hollywood likes to have. Oh my God, I almost sound like one of the national guys. But that's exciting football, and they're going to give Trojans exciting football. So hopefully you guys get out there and watch it. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Jackson Johnson from Meridianville, Alabama. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, Jackson. How are you? What's on your mind?
Oh, just saying about the media days. How'd you feel about the media days for USC this year?
Matt? I think I kind of went into it a little bit myself.
Jackson, I mean, we've talked about some of this, and I think that Lincoln Riley had a chip on his shoulder. Lincoln Riley was PO'd. Lincoln Riley had an edge to him, and that's good. Like, he's fired up. He knows that the national media ain't buying what he's selling, and that's okay, because now he can prove it on the field. And when commentators say that they don't take USC's defense seriously, like, that is just something for the whole locker room on the defensive side of the ball. Just use that as fuel for the fire against LSU. So, the national media being skeptical, again, they should be, right? I just don't like the specific critique of, well, Lincoln Riley still doesn't take defense seriously when, he's changed his whole MO. He's changed his whole staff. What's he supposed to do to prove that he takes defense seriously? And it's really that doubting Thomas thing. People want to see it on the field, and until it happens, people are going to be skeptical. So, that's fair. But to say he still doesn't take defense seriously, that's what I really don't like. And so Lincoln Riley's pushing back against that. And the other thing, we haven't talked about this directly, but let's just briefly mention it, is that Lincoln Riley's not bolting for the NFL. I think that was a major central news story of Big Ten media days. If Lincoln Riley sounded like a coach going to the NFL, this was not it. This is not how a coach would talk if he's thinking about the NFL. This is a guy who wants to fix this thing. He wants to figure it out. He wants to solve this challenge that's in front of him right now. Lincoln Riley's not going to the NFL anytime soon, period.
Yeah, and I think that he did a really good job. Well, first off, you could tell just how well they're prepared, because I was talking to Matt, or I don't know, maybe it was Gabe. They were like synchronized swimmers. They'd get the question, they'd all kind of give the similar answer. But yet, here's what I will say: it wasn't, they were ready. They relied on their press training, and especially the players just did a great job. Yeah, I don't know, as a fan, and also as just a person watching these guys, it was good to see them. They didn't shy away from questions. They answered they just absolutely answered everything like a pro, and really, as an alumnus, made me proud how well they spoke, how they went straight to the question. They stayed on message. I mean, it was USC of all the different programs I watched on Media Day, just seemed like they had their ducks in a row. So if you ask me how I felt about USC's Media Day, I felt proud. I watched the way they handled questions that were almost cheap shots. Like Lincoln Riley took that question. My God, when are we going to stop hearing about the brisket? I mean, talk about the stupidest question. You get one chance to talk to a guy like Lincoln Riley. You want to talk about brisket? I get it. It was probably some kind of prank or something, but the guy said he's from SI. I was like, anyway. But, the message that Lincoln Riley did say is hey, look, we're happy to be here, but we're not coming in on our knees. We're not the discount Ducks. Yes, I know they got a great team going right now, and they got great NIL, but they came in at half price. We're not the half off Huskies. They came in at half price. Let's be honest. UCLA, you came with USC in the LA market. USC came in here as a full member, shoulders up, head back, saying, hey, we're proud to be here. Thanks for having us, but we're not taking a second seat to anybody. Next question. I love that. I don't think that's arrogant. I think given USC's stature, given the fact that the Big Ten wanted USC, of all these teams, they wanted USC. That we are the crown jewel. Sorry, folks. Call me a homer, but that's a fact. And the way USC went in there
Well,
and acted like that, I appreciate it very much.
Well, in the Deshaun Foster opening segment of that press conference, it kind of felt like I was watching a college football equivalent of Joe Pesci at the Oscars. It was just like real quick.
It was a
grief.
It was a big moment, you know, and I don't blame him for that. I was listening to our podcast and they said it perfectly. So, gosh damn, I can't. I'm sorry. I think it might be cover 3. I'm not sure. But you know, you blame the handlers, the people that were there that were getting prepared for it. He got thrust into this position. The stage was bigger than not bigger than him as a person, just bigger than his experience, and he was thrown out there. And hey, man, if you don't get out there and you don't have some anxiety and you don't have the training for it, what do you expect's going to happen? You know, what do you expect a guy to do? So hey, he rallied from it. He kind of laughed it off, and I think the best point that they made, I hope it was cover 3, because if I'm not giving someone else the attribution, I feel bad. But they said it's going to make that microscope a little bit harder on him because you know they're going to say, look, he's not prepared. We do that in society, right? You know, so he wasn't ready to speak at media day, so therefore, if he stumbles a little bit in the football season, it just proves the point. I mean, it's like got to layer and build on it. So now it almost makes it more important that he can get this turnaround. It was a very unfortunate way to start his career. But I mean, anyone holding it against him are you a human being in there? You know what I mean? So
I would just say, Jackson, that you know, who's managing the store in the UCLA sports information football media relations department? Like, why are you allowing him to give a public statement? Just have him take questions. You know, he did not have to give a statement, and it was interesting. A number of the coaches at Big Ten Media Days, they were praised for using, you know, they all get 15 minutes. So some coaches basically used up nearly all their 15 minutes on a speech. They called it a filibuster. So like they didn't have to deal with the media. Like the veteran coaches, they basically spoke for 13, 14, 15 minutes. So they didn't have to take questions. But with Deshaun Foster's, it's different. And like, you know, why wasn't there a conversation? Like, hey, Deshaun, do you want to just take questions or do you want to give an opening statement and what makes you comfortable? Doesn't seem like that conversation was had. So it's still amateur hour at UCLA. And, you know, that was unfortunate. And by the way, while we're talking about UCLA, quick thing. Anyone here, Curt Cignetti, the coach of Indiana, mentioned that when we travel to UCLA, when we travel to Pasadena, we're going to an old stadium to kick somebody's butt. So like he didn't mean to throw shade at UCLA. He was more of talking just about the mentality of the team that he wanted to have, but it just happened to be UCLA on the receiving end of the Indiana head football coach's barb. So not a good week for UCLA in Indianapolis.
And sorry, Jackson, but we do have the call stacking up. I keep losing calls. Matt, we got people waiting 46 minutes. That's way too much. We got to move this thing along. But Jackson, thank you so much for calling in. You guys, if you haven't checked out Jackson and his channel, Jacksonian, make sure you go and check it out. It's great stuff. Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you for having me on, gents. Y'all stay safe, stay cool, stay away from the heat.
Thank you.
All right, and before Tim does take the next call, we have some big contributions to highlight. Jeff, $50. So I think Jeff's given $130 tonight. Jeff, amazing. Wow. Thank you so much. Huge. Blackie Chan Gaming with 20. Scrolling down here. Jeff, 20 more. Our friend Will ND, 20. Slap Happy, 10. You guys are rock stars, folks. LV Live, 20.
Wow.
And there was another one. Yep. Supermax. You guys are awesome. You guys are so awesome. And that's not all. Barry Fisher with 10. So you are all getting a third hour. We're here until 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m.
That's why I put I lit up the victory slide, because I saw those come in. You guys, I don't know how to explain to you. I am amazed when I look up and I see people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it, but I'm amazed to see the people that come here every week to support the show. I am truly grateful. I would sit up here and talk about USC if it was just me and 3 of you guys. And if you remember the beginning of anyone's old school Mark Rogers, we literally used to do that. We used to get a StreamYard. It was on. We'd go into we had a chat. I forgot what the thing was called, but then we would get together and we would just talk football for hours and stuff. And then we just finally just started doing shows. So listen, we really appreciate everyone being here and supporting the show, supporting the channel. And if you could, if I could ask one more, ask you guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. It really helps out the channel more than you can imagine. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe, because during the season, during fall camp, if anything breaks, we will go live with these call-in shows, and we'd love to hear from you guys. So make sure that you're subscribing and hitting the notification bell. But again, thank you so much, I guess, to Roy, to Adam, to Jeff, about 100 different times. Thank you to John Cardenas, Blackie Chan. Thank you for coming. Did you get his?
Yes. And Blackie Chan's waiting in the queue.
Okay. And, and Will, Slap, LV Live, who I believe I know his number. He's on right now. Super Max, Barry, you guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I noticed your number, LV. How you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, boys? Slide on from the East Coast. How you guys doing today? How do I sound?
You sound perfect.
All right, that's awesome, man. Listen, great show as always, man. It's great to see you guys climbing up the ladder, man. As far as the viewers, you guys are doing an amazing job as always on a Friday night, which is the hardest time to do it. But you guys are rocking and rolling with it, man. It's a great job to you, boys.
Thank you.
Let's get right to it, right? Lincoln Riley, man, you guys got to understand and realize what he took over. Do you not remember? Let's go back. Do you guys not remember where we were at with Clay Helton? How angry we were? Everyone, it was, excuse my language, it was like a total shit show. You guys said a mess. You guys are being nice. That's how you guys are being nice about how it was. It was extremely bad. We did not see Lincoln Riley coming here. Do you guys not remember the shockwaves that it sent through college football when they found out we got him? We landed Lincoln Riley here at the Mecca. Do you not understand? And how everybody was afraid because they knew what was coming after that.
And they still know, right?
Real for SC the hate has been real for SC for a very long time. Before Nick Saban got out of here, he even said it. He said, listen, the one school you guys better be worried about is USC. They've been quiet for a long time, but they start getting rolling, it's going to be a problem for everybody. Nick Saban even knew that. So the point of it is that when you start taking a look at everything and what Lincoln Riley had to clean up, and I don't know if you guys paid attention to it, but he was kind of, you could tell he started getting aggravated by the questions because it was kind of as if like USC is like a second tier school. We're more blue bloods than some of these schools up in this conference. We got the most Heisman Trophy winners. We're up there as far as national championships. I mean, we're as iconic of a program as you come, and you guys are treating us like we're like second class citizens. Like this is insane. The type of disrespect that we get. But what that is that's called hate. That's called hate because they know that as soon as we get the ball rolling, and that's all it takes. Like, I think, guys, to be honest with you, we're in a perfect situation. You know why we're in a perfect situation? Because everyone looks down and think we're not going to be anything. Lincoln Riley's not going to be this. We're not going to be that. The defense. This is a perfect way for Lincoln to motivate his team. Because this is how guys get up. It's kind of like how we went into the Louisville game, right? They thought we was going to get blown out. You saw a totally different team. So to me, we're in a perfect situation to really, really stick it to everybody and say, yeah. And then once that happens, then you're going to see guys like Justin, all these five-star guys come back. Justice Terry and all these guys. Not him per se, but similar guys to that. And next couple of years, you're going to start seeing that stuff because of what Lincoln Riley did this year. And I'm telling you right now, everyone better pay attention because I think this is going to be a big season, pretty much when we come back. What say you?
I agree with it all.
Let me just jump in here. I'll get it to you quickly, Tim. I just think that there's one word to insert there. It's a perfect motivational situation. I mean, I think that slight amendment is notable because like Oregon has a perfect situation in terms of NIL, its roster, things being in alignment. That would be like a perfect architectural holistic situation. But USC does have a perfect motivational situation. Like it's exactly the way you get a bunch of guys fired up, ready to run through a brick wall and prove everybody wrong. All right, Tim.
Well, no, I was hoping you'd go a little longer because I'm trying to. Okay, wait, hold on. If I do this on that and that, okay. No, we can't see it. So yeah, I don't look. We're called arrogant. We're called a lot of things, and we didn't expect for anyone to bow down to us as we came in. I don't think so. I didn't hear our program or anyone in the voice of the coaches or administration wanting the Big Ten to bow down. But I'm just telling you, USC doesn't walk in and kiss the ring on the way in. We're not doing that. I don't understand our history alone. These schools, the reason why I think a lot of these schools have issue with us, and I'm going to be, people are calling Lincoln Riley arrogant. No, he wasn't arrogant, but I'm going to be arrogant. And I'm be arrogant because look at our record against the Big Ten. Oh, well, that's because it's in the Rose Bowl. That's because, no, it wasn't. Those games, when I watched USC destroy, and I've watched it on film, when Ohio State, do you know what happens to Ohio State when it comes into the Coliseum historically? They don't lose. They get destroyed by the Trojans. Now, am I saying that's going to happen every year? That's going to happen in the past. It's not going to happen. No. But for them to have that disrespect to the Trojans, you're not talking, like when I talk about Notre Dame, when I talk about Alabama, those are the two schools when I'm talking about them. I know history and I know our place. Those are two programs that have, you got to tip your hat to them. Why? Because they're the two really schools that have winning records against USC. The rest of them out there, they don't, you guys. So I don't understand why USC has to go in and fear the Big Ten again. We're not playing the 85 Bears. We're not going against the early 80s, late 70s Steelers, right? Jack Lamb's not there. Jack Ham's not there. We have to worry about this kind of stuff. And the way they talk about their defense is like, oh my God, what are we going to do when we play these defenses? I don't know. How do other offenses do? How did Iowa do in whenever they go to a conference championship game, when they go up against an offense like at Ohio State? What happens to them? What happens when they go up against a Michigan? I don't know. I'm not throwing shade at these schools. I think it's going to be great. I think these competitions are going to be amazing, but I don't see why USC has to come in like they are a second-class citizen. And if you listen to all the questions during media day from their media, it just seemed like we were supposed to be intimidated by entering the Big Ten. And this is why. This is why we're not. This is why we're not.
But Tim, you're not throwing shade, Tim. You're just calling it what it is, Tim. Listen, Tim. We went 8-5 last year, and most schools would have thought that was a success.
Right, exactly.
To us, we thought it was a failure. That tells you exactly what our criteria is here at the university. So that speaks volumes. And I'm glad you brought up Notre Dame and Alabama. In a sense, USC is walking shoulders to shoulders with those schools. When they speak of those schools, they speak of USC also. When they talk about Notre Dame, they talk about USC. You got to understand, guys, listen, we when it comes to Heisman trophies, we are the school. We are the pinnacle. We've always been that way. And it wasn't like that for a couple of years. Oregon's got to run. They last 10 years. So what? They don't even have 50 years of just being synonymous with college football. People know them because of their uniforms.
Well, hold on. LV.
Years to win it.
LV, I love you. Hold on. Last 25 years, they're 14-11 against us. So, I mean, it's not a short little run.
I'm speaking of just as far as the history.
Yes, overall we crush them.
They represent.
Agreed.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Tim. So yeah, of course they're getting a notoriety now. But Tim, here's the point that I'm making, guys. The disrespect that we're getting is as if we don't even matter anymore. Like we've never had a good program. That's what I'm getting at. So I throw Oregon out there because they just became, and yeah, it's just became, Tim. You know why? Because 25 years compared to what, Tim? What were they doing in the 60s when we were dominating?
Not just that. If I could just jump in, forget all that. The NCAA took it. So a big part of this is the NCAA took us down. And then again, we had incompetence and and then we sanctioned ourselves for about, 6 years. Okay. That's a big part of that run that we're talking about with schools like Notre Dame, actually, because they made up a lot of ground the last 10 years against USC that almost wiped out all that progress Pete Carroll made by crushing them for a decade. But they didn't do anything with it. Do you know what I mean? What has Oregon done at the top of the Pac-12? You know, what has Dan Lanning done with the best roster in the Pac-12 for the past 2 years? They can't beat Washington, and they have 0 Pac-12 championships to prove it. I mean, I don't understand where schools come off having a run at USC when it's not warranted. Again, kick us when we're down, that's fine. But that's because, well, hold on, LB. That's because they are slowly whistling past the graveyard, because I've said it. I've watched it my whole life. I've seen people bury USC in the 90s before. And they did under the Hackett years. You know, remember, it was a Bruin town. LA was a UCLA town. Remember that? They tried to bury USC before. And that's because when USC is right, when USC is doing what it's supposed to do, you can't stop them. And that's what Lincoln Riley's message was. When we're right, you better look out. And that's what he was telling everybody. And quite frankly, the people, the ages of the guys asking questions, they all knew better. They all knew better what USC can be. So
with that being said, that's why I said to you guys, we're in a perfect spot. This is a perfect spot to be in for people to look down. It's like, we're not going to be this, we're not going to be that because of what happened last year in the debacle and Alex Grinch that's not even here anymore. I love it. Let's see what happens in Vegas in a couple of weeks, because it's right around the corner. All right, listen, guys, great show as always. Fight on from the East Coast. I love you guys. Keep it going. LV Live, I'm out of here. Take care, guys. Fight on.
Great call. Fight on. You guys, make sure you're checking out LV Live. He's got his own channel as well. Covers a lot of New York stuff. If you're a Knicks fan, you should be checking him out. I mean, I'm not really an NBA guy. I just go listen to LV because you heard him. The guy has the gift of talking, man. So I could listen to LV talk forever. Really quickly, caller, give me 1 second. So we have Rico in the crowd here, and it's what have we done for you lately, world? That's kind of true, but here's what I will also tell you: this is college football, and rosters change, and everything's cyclical. And you're right. Just because you're on top doesn't mean you'll be on top forever. And thank you for bringing up Clemson. Or you could be the Ohio States. And I say this all the time. Ohio State is a great program, but they're not an elite program. You know why? Because the elite programs are the ones like Alabama, USC, and back in the day, like Oklahoma or a Notre Dame, that own a whole decade. I mean, the last time Ohio State, in my opinion, was that elite was probably in the 1970s. Call me what you want. I mean, but 2 national championships in 50 years, I'm not going to kiss the ring. I'm not going to do it. So enjoy that. Caller, hi. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, guys. This is Dan out of LA.
What's up, Dan? How you doing?
How's it going?
Good.
Pretty good. Trying to make my points really quick. Let me see. First of all, what you said, Ohio State, they're blue blood, they're elite. I don't like them, but they are the class like USC and Alabama of college football. Like Alabama, USC, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame. They are. They're there. But that's not what I'm talking about. Well, I always want to talk about first thing I want to say is that I'm glad Adam is one of the callers on our team. Because of Adam, we are going to either make the semifinals or the championship. Every live call needs a guy like Adam. I'm not talking bad about him. Like, I like the guy, like what he has to say, but he reminds me of. So I'm a 49er fan as well. He reminds me of the guy on the 49er fans in the chat probably know who I'm talking about. The most famous live guy for the 49ers. We have a guy like that who always calls in just like straight to the point, like Adam. Always very curious, need someone fired, and every single time we've like made the championship or the Super Bowl. Like, but Adam is good. Like they could be brothers. How worried they are. But Adam's a good dude. There's nothing wrong. But he reminds me of the same guy that calls in. But other than that, the other point is that USC is I think because of all this, USC is gonna make the semifinals and the playoffs or the championship. Like this amount of like hate towards one program always ends well for that program. Like it doesn't even make sense of the amount of the backlash the media is giving over the defense and Lincoln Riley. It's insane, and it kind of reminds me of I'm gonna have to go back to again. It kind of reminds me of the year that we that my team, the 49ers, and put in Brock Purdy, and the entire league was like, just like how Miller Moss. He reminds me of Miller Moss. Miller Moss had that one game and nobody believed. And Brock Purdy came in when Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and we took us to the NFC Championship. And we lost to the Eagles because he got hurt. That whole offseason, everyone doubted him. He was like, he's just a fly-by-night guy. Even though he put up the stats, just like how they're doing the USC right now. They're like, USC is going to blow the brakes off of LSU. You guys don't have to believe me, but I'm going to call in after the game. I'm going to remind you. Keep that on point. Everyone's talking about how great the offensive line is. Yeah, they probably have good players, but USC has been listening to this all season. Now they're even attacking him live on National Big Ten Media Day, Lincoln Riley, about a defense. Like, they're tired of this. They're going to be so motivated this year. I really believe they're gonna maybe go 11-1 or even undefeated. Like, I don't.
Hopefully.
It just does it. And then my last point is, I remember Matt earlier today. I don't know if it was today or the other day. Lincoln, like you guys were talking about. I don't know, you guys talking about Lincoln Riley should stop calling plays. No, he should never stop calling plays. He's an offensive genius, and guys like that don't stop calling offensive plays or give it to somebody else. Just like Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, all the geniuses, they don't stop calling plays.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley should never ever stop calling plays.
Totally
I
agree.
can see find a good defense coordinator, but yeah, those are my points.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I wrote about that. And I wrote about exactly that point. And I wrote about the fact that when as soon as he got the heat during media days, Lincoln Riley said, you got a call from the head ball coach, or he got a call from Steve Spurrier saying, don't ever give up play calling. And that is so true. I can't imagine, why you would hire someone like him. It doesn't make any sense to hire somebody who's great at what they do and say, maybe you should think about handing that thing you do really great to somebody else, because it doesn't make it. And I don't see it happening, nor do I see like last week we were asked to pick, two coaches, right? Some people got upset in the chat saying that we're being too negative. We weren't saying that anyone's going anywhere. What I saw that question really as a compliment to this staff, because it's literally impossible. And then after I said that question made me keep thinking for hours after the show. And I was thinking, and at the end of it, I came up with, I stuck with Henny and Coach Simmons is where I kind of came out at the very end of it, but then who do you forgo? This staff is amazing. The defensive line. Here's another thing. They keep talking about why USC's defense is going to fail, including me. I was kind of down on it a little earlier when we didn't get some nose tackles. But it doesn't matter if you have a nose guard that's 330 pounds, right? That doesn't matter. What matters is your defense and the way this team looks like it's going to play. I was talking today, and I said nobody knows what this team's going to do. Anyone, I don't care how in tune you are. Maybe even the coaching staff doesn't know how good or how bad this team could be, because there are so many new pieces to this. And I know we have amazing. We had amazing players, defensive players on the team last year, and we've added to those guys. But this time now we have, I believe, a system in place that's going to allow them to play fast, play aggressive, play together, and play sound assignment football and just hit people. And we have the personnel to really be a nice and we're a great defense if that happens. I mean, I'll say, I'm going to narrow it down. I think we could be a top 20 to a top 70 defense this year. I mean, literally, I have no idea what this defense is going to do. I'm very bullish. I think that if everything comes together, it's going to be this defense could be the story of college football. But that's me. Matt, anything to add?
No, let's move along with the calls.
All right. Well, hey, listen, Dan, great call. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here.
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah, but I got a guy waiting 63 minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think everyone's talking about Oregon to USC because we came out of the same conference. But I think, I'm just saying long term, there's probably going to be rules as NIL because you can't have just one school that has like a crazy billionaire who just wants someone to win and pay for everybody. The other schools aren't doing it. Like Dan Lanning, put Dan Lanning at Utah, he's losing. Put Dan Lanning anywhere else he doesn't have Phil Knight just wanting to pay for everything. He's not doing what he's doing now. That's all.
All right. Hey, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I don't know what Dan Lanning would do or not do, but it's pretty clear to say where he started 2 years ago and where Lincoln Riley started were on opposite ends of the spectrum as far as facilities, the support staff, everything. They had it rolling. I mean, and to say it's just money, it's not just money. The organization, to where everything was being run up there, it was all, he walked into a great situation. He may be, we got to be fair. He's only been a coach for 2 years, right? We don't know what he's going to be as a coach, but to say that, look what he's done these 2 years, and then we'll look at Riley hasn't done. I mean, clearly this person's being disingenuous because they did not start at the same point. Like Riley said, let's see where they end up. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, This is Gary from Dana Point. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Gary, gotcha. How you doing?
Hey, I'm great. Before I make my comment, I just want to say I just wish that Tim, you and Matt would have an opinion once in a while, and maybe have some passion or something. What do you think? I'm obviously kidding. I love your show. And by the way, a shout out to Gabe. He's good. So in my younger crazy days, I used to go to the horse races, and so I'd take a look at the handicapper, and he'd go through each horse in the race. And it'd be this horse, and he'd say something about that horse, and so on. And he'd get down to the one horse, he'd say, who had never run before. He said, let's see one first. That's the comment that the handicapper would say. Let's see one first. Well, that's LSU. And I am so glad we're playing LSU and not Georgia State or something to begin with, because I think the LSU game is the litmus test. It'll tell us everything we want to know about USC. It doesn't mean that we're a finished product on that opening game, but it does mean, I think, every element of what we are and what we want to be and what we need to be will be tested in that game. There won't be anything false. Like last year, we went through a cupcake early season. We looked great against nobody. And what happened? The wheels came off. I'd rather step into the ring with Muhammad Ali. If I'm going to have to face him eventually, I might as well get it out of the way right now. And so I'm thinking that this is going to be the time we really see what is going on. And I would say, Matt, I also want to echo something that you said. Basically, I think the USC players, they're kids. That they're taking this season personally. That's how I see it. So I think we're in for a lifting of the veil of the Trojan juggernaut that's about to come to the front. And it doesn't mean we win it all this year. It just means I think this is the time we turn it around, and I think LSU will tell us that. What do you guys think?
Matt, go ahead. I know I can tell you're jumping on this.
Well, I mean, Gary, we all hope that this team is just going to be absolutely PO'd, foaming at the mouth, fire through the nostrils. Hopefully after all the talk all season long from the national media, Lincoln Riley doesn't take defense seriously. USC's not ready for the Big Ten. Trojans are a mid-tier program. They're not one of the big boys. I hope that this is just building up the anger and the competitive fury, and it's all going to be finally channeled into that LSU game. I mean, it's an SEC program. It's a program that's won the national title 5 years ago. Brian Kelly's the head coach, national television, Vegas, baby. I mean, what else do you want? Hopefully we're going to see this team, it's not just playing hard. That's just a small part of it. Is this team going to be physical? Is this team going to have stamina? Are these guys going to be dropping like flies in the third quarter, or are they going to be ready to play 60 full minutes? Not just a few bursts, but ready to run the full race. And then are we going to see precision? And Tim wrote a story about Lincoln Riley challenging Zachariah Branch. Be the best receiver you can be. We know you can run. We know you're athletic. Can you play wide receiver with the precision that's needed? At Big Ten Media Days, Gary, you probably know this, but just to make sure for everyone who's watching, the two receivers that really got the most praise were not Zachariah Branch. They were Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. Like, those are the guys who consistently came up. They're being slept on. They're the guys who are going to shine. Zachariah Branch was not mentioned as like, oh, this guy's going to blow the doors off in 2024. Like, the coaches really think, you know what? You need to be better. You need to be more precise. And hopefully Zachariah Branch and everyone else on this roster is just going to be PO'd, and it's going to not just translate into passion, but attention to detail, the commitment to be a complete football player in every sense. Hopefully it all comes together against LSU.
And although Branch and Deuce Robinson were brought up, remember Branch was running track, Deuce Robinson was playing baseball. And the thing is I'm glad that guys like Jacoby Lane and Lemon are getting their props, because they should. They're great athletes. Because if you remember, during the recruiting portion of this, it was the reverse as well, with Branch and Robinson being the highly ranked guys that got all the attention, and Jacoby Lane and Kai Lemon kind of coming in. They were still 4-stars and great players in their own right, but they didn't get all that limelight. So it is good to see you guys. Whatever it is, these 4 guys are just going to be lights out. I mean, Branch is already a solid receiver, but he need more than one person, including Lincoln Riley is basically saying, hey, you're a freshman, and a lot of these kids, these young men make a huge leap between their freshman and sophomore year, regardless of what position they're playing. But when it comes to route running, becoming a technician, doing the little things, when you are a special talent like Zachariah Branch, you can get away with in high school just being faster and more athletic than everybody else. And Zachariah is both those things at an elite level. And he showed that in the kick return game. And I just think, that he's not that far off, but I think that during the spring and now coming into fall, it's been an emphasis with Dennis Simmons to get him just those little tiny technical things. You think to a guy like him, you give him the ball, is he be a gadget guy, or can he be an actual receiving threat? And I think that's what they're trying to get him to. And if USC can get him there, and he could add an All-American receiving season, then there's no limit to what this offense could be. If he's an All-American level receiver, which I think they want to get him to, with the other guys in place, and we're not even talking about some of the veteran guys that we brought in that can take the top off this thing as well. I really am going to be surprised if they can protect Miller Moss. How the hell is any defense? I don't care if you're in Iowa or an Ohio State or a Michigan. How are you guys going to contain these receivers? And then you throw in our tight ends. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be very interesting to watch.
I agree, and I like your comments about the receivers. I'm fully on board. I know you got a lot of callers. I just one last thing. If you guys are going to the LSU game at Las Vegas, I invite you or anybody else going to that game, please visit some of the casinos and observe my wonderful chandeliers that I bought for them. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye, Gary. Yeah, I think I donated some myself. I stopped donating though. I got smart and stopped donating. Yeah, I am fully bullish. I can't wait to the kickoff, because it's always hope springs eternal, right? And then that kickoff happens and we go. But I mean, I really cannot find Matt. If we, especially the way they're talking about Mason Murphy. Sorry, caller, hold on 1 second. The way they're talking about Mason Murphy as well, which has been the big question mark in the back of people's heads. If Mason Murphy has put that consistency factor, because the guy has all the talent in the world, but if he's put that piece together for himself on that right side, and they can lock down that right side, again, I don't know what defenses are going to. I mean it. I don't know what defenses are going to stop us. Can't wait. Come on, come at me, Big Ten fans out there. I know you're there. Yeah.
All right. Before Tim takes the next call, I need to take a very short break, because this is a 3-hour show now. I just need to take a break for a couple minutes. So Tim has the next call. I'm going to be back as soon as possible.
No problem. Caller, hey, how you doing? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Matt, why you gotta leave? You know I love you. It's Keith from Irvine. Oh my God!
What's up, Keith?
What's up, gentlemen?
He'll be back. Don't worry. Just.
I just love watching him back on the TV, because he always laughs when I'm on the call. So I love making him laugh. But 2 things. I'll be short and sweet like a mini skirt. Okay.
First thing is, you mentioned Ohio State NIL, but no, you mentioned 93,000 people at the Coliseum when USC is walking.
Well, we can't anymore.
I was for work, a work lunch, and we're talking about Ohio State. 110,000 people in their stadium. The average ticket, we looked it up, is $218. Times that by 110. These guys are bringing in $22 million in ticket sales times 8. That's cash. Okay? So I'm not surprised they're dropping $20 million on NIL. All right?
Did you leave out the beer sales?
So that's one thing. Yeah, exactly. That's not even the TV deals, the beer sales, none of that, right? So $22 million a game. All right? Now, I'm looking at our schedule, and how in the hell is our win total only 7.5? Dude, I'm going to be in Vegas a day early at the books, emptying my 401k and betting the house on our win total because I don't see how we lose any game. Okay, maybe I'm a homer, maybe Notre Dame, but Michigan has a whole new starting offensive line. The quarterback battle is not even decided yet in the spring. They're going to figure that out in the summer. They're going to face Texas 2 weeks before they face us. I mean, Penn State is at home at the College.
Let's circle back.
How?
Let's circle back, Keith. I'm feeling more and more bullish on the LSU, but that's not going to be. I think we're downplaying. I mean, they're going to have athletes. As much as I have my issues with Brian Kelly, he has a solid staff. They will do well. Hard to say that. God, that was painful. But then going over to Michigan, Michigan has a really good defense. Yes, they're replacing offensive line, but their head coach Sharon Moore was the offensive line coach. And all they've really done at Michigan, kind of like if you think of the DNA of Jim Harbaugh, what did he do? He brought in really good offensive lines and really good running backs. And I think that even though they lost some guys in the NFL, I'm sure the guys that were backing those guys up have been developed, have been in their system for quite some time. And we're playing at their house. And so, I mean, the Michigan game to me, I without a doubt is going to be the hardest game on our schedule. If you look at our schedule, that Michigan game to me is by far the most difficult game. I don't know what our defense is going to be. I mean, Keith, if it's what I think it's going to be, I think that's going to be an absolute great game, and I think we can win it. But to say that nobody on our schedule can beat us, I think I got to bring you down a little bit. Hey, listen, I don't want you to. Listen, I want you to be as happy you're a fan as preseason. We can think whatever the hell we want. But I would caution you on that game. That game might be the one game that gives me pause. But I don't think I'll agree with you. I don't think there's a team on our schedule that is just as an L. Do you know what I mean? We're not going into the season thinking anybody on this is an L for us.
So, Tim, I know you're smart. You got a degree from the best school in the nation.
That doesn't make me smart.
Not to. Well, yes, you are. Okay, let's cut the crap. So are you advising me against emptying my 401k and betting against that 7.5 win total, which I get it's minus 125? It's damn near even odds.
I
dumped 20,000.
I like that bet. I don't want you emptying your 401k because. Well, how old are you? Are you under the age of 30?
No, I'm 38 going on 21.
Okay, well, you're still young. I guess if you lose the farm, you can start all over. You're a brilliant man. You'll be able to get that money back. I would not put big. Yes, put big money on that, but big money you could afford to lose. There you go. I think that's a horrible line. I think you can make good money on that. I definitely agree with that. Put money that you can afford to lose on that, and put all of it that you can afford to lose on that one, because I think that might be a winner for you. There you go. That's my financial advice for the show.
Well, and I appreciate that. I'll let you go with this part of the statement. I just looked it up on ChatGPT, and it said, empty it now. Okay? So, ChatGPT is never wrong.
All right.
Thank you, Tim and Matt. We love you guys. Fight on, baby.
Fight on, Keith. Keith always brings the energy. Thank you, Keith. And good luck with that bet. I want you to be able to retire and be able to travel. I don't want you going back to be like a security guard somewhere because you can't make bills meet. Okay? Come on. We got to be financially responsible here. I absolutely know this number. Will, how you doing? Did I make too many comments about Brian Kelly and Notre Dame? Is that what I did?
I'm doing good, man, but I'm not happy with your buddy Lincoln Riley.
Hey, well, to be fair, hang on one second, because I am the worst person in the world at doing this kind of stuff. So I don't know if I hit any of these. So John, thank you so much for being 4 members. John is the host at our fastest growing channel over at the Michigan channel. You guys, we're in the Big Ten now. Go check them out. They have a call-in show just like us and a live show that they do. So make sure you're checking out their channel. John, thank you so much for being here. Scooby, thank you for being a new member. I had this up, but I wanted to thank you personally. I appreciate you. I think you were a member before. I'm not sure, but if not, thank you for being a member. If so, then thank you for coming on back. Thank you for $2 super chat. Barry, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Again, appreciate you being here always. Another big time supporter of the show as always. And Gary from Dana Point, thank you also for the $10 super chat. Again, the money is awesome and I appreciate it, but more than anything, it just means the world to me that you guys come every week for some unknown reason and chop it up about USC football with us. And I really appreciate your support and you being here. Okay, I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead.
I'm not happy with Lincoln Riley's response to, they asked him about the Notre Dame rivalry.
Thank you for bringing that
I
up.
love the tradition, but like if it helps us make the playoffs, we'll drop it. And I feel like that's him saying he wants to get rid of the rivalry.
No, you know how I read that, Will?
I think it's the beginning of that.
Will, you know how I read that?
Why?
I think that's Lincoln Riley
How do
saying.
you read that?
I think that's Lincoln Riley saying we don't want to go out to the Midwest every other year, one extra time. Join the damn conference, and then we'll play you every year. What do you think? Because it's a non-conference game. Will, here's the thing, and it's a compliment to Notre Dame. Look at not Michigan this year, but look at Michigan the previous 2 years. Look at their non-conference schedules, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Look at Ohio State's non-conference schedule this year, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Do you remember when you used to play Michigan every year? They don't do that anymore, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, we did that. We replaced them with like good schools like Texas.
No, I'm not talking about the Notre Dame side of it. I'm talking about the Michigan side of it. Michigan's saying, well, we're playing Ohio State every year. Hell, we brought Penn State in now. They're pretty tough. Iowa defense, pops up once in a while, et cetera, et cetera. And they're saying, why are we playing Notre Dame every year when we want to get into the playoffs? And now that I hate this. I heard the conversation about, well, will the playoff committee give special concessions for teams that play really difficult out of conference schedules? Okay, look, we're a West Coast school. We know how we're treated. We know how USC has been treated. Just go back and look at the 2003 BCS game. We don't get the benefit. We were number one in both polls, and they somehow decided some computer logistic to keep USC out of that BCS game. So if you think USC is going to be, and play in good faith, that we'll play a rough schedule, and then it'll count if we drop an extra game, and the playoff committee will understand it. We don't trust that shit at all. So the reality of the situation.
The 12. This isn't the 4 best teams get in. The 12 best teams get in, and if USC is really one of the best 12 teams, they should be able to brush off that Notre Dame loss and still have a great season.
Agreed. But here's the flip side of that, though. So let's say you win those games. They should win that game, right? But they they pound the shit out of their team doing it, right? You beat your team up. Instead of having, I don't know, let's say there's a conference out there that plays 8 conference games, and then I don't know, about 9 or 10 games in, they play a directional school, right? But then you're a team like USC who, I don't know, played LSU and Notre Dame in their out of conference games. Then they play Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, in conference, and then go up to Washington and play Washington. Do you see those schedules as being comparable? Oh, well, it's the SEC. Of course, we need one less conference game, and we get a bye game in week 9 or 10 or whatever the hell they have, their layup season game, and you have to be smart. If you win, you play 12 games. Then you play your conference game and you win your conference game. That's 13 games. And then you got to play, then if you win your conference, you get a first round bye, but you're still getting those 2 other games. It's just the games start adding up, and the body toll and the attrition on players is going, especially on the line, is going to add up. And the fewer games you play against quality competition, when you can sit your team out in the second half and rest them up. hey, listen, the SEC has done it right for years and everyone else has done it wrong. And you can't sit back and go, we've never played an FCS school and we play 9 conference games. Great. No one made you. Why do you think they've been dominating? They have great teams, but also they don't have as many injuries.
Well, let's add this point. The SEC teams have not been punished for doing that. So as long as they were never punished for doing that, they kept on doing it. And why wouldn't you? Yep.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you schedule the Citadel if you're not going to get punished for it by the selection committee? Let's remember, Alabama didn't even win the SEC West. Forget about the SEC. Didn't even win the SEC West. Didn't even make the SEC championship game in 2017. Still got in and won the national title. So, you know, if you're not going to get punished by the committee, you know, because you know that the ESPN SEC, that bias that we saw last year, you know, with Texas, you know, getting in and Florida State being left out, you know, then and Alabama getting in. If you're not going to get punished for that kind of scheduling, why would you change? There's zero incentive for the SEC to change.
Absolutely agreed. Anything else, Will? We got to wrap it up. We got 3 calls behind you and we got about 9 minutes.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just think the history of the rivalry, that it should keep going no matter what. I mean, I do understand that, but still, it's just I don't know, it's just a tough look.
Well, sometimes you have to give a little to get a little. And I'm just going to say there's one way that your school can guarantee that continues, and that's, well, to give a little. That's all I'm saying. Yes, I'm being flippant. I'm being flippant. I would hate for this to ever end. It's something that's really special between, you know, it's what's made USC, and I'm quite frankly, I'll say it. It's what's also made Notre Dame is this rivalry. I really do believe that. And so, you know, it's like the yin and yang, right? It's like both sides. You can't have a front without a back. You can't have an SC without an Irish. But you have people now that aren't tied to, that are in very strong positions that aren't tied to this, tied to this rivalry. But what might save us no matter what is it's a big ticket game. And you know who runs college football? The networks. And then really, I think it's safe as long as it still draws eyeballs. So that's my last piece of solace I could give you, probably.
All right. Well, great show, guys. Happy that you're turning into the Iron Tim and Iron Matt. So
we got to come out swinging.
Hour of action.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Will. Good luck to you guys, except for one game in October next year. No, sorry, November.
Tim,
my bad.
Tim, we don't have 9 minutes left in the show. We have 69 minutes left in the show.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay. Well, here we go. This is going to be a new one. Hi, Carl. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Just want to say, we got over $340 in contributions tonight. You guys are absolutely phenomenal.
That's unbelievable. You guys, I can't tell you how amazing that is. And by the way, everyone here, you're all amazing. There's 100 people. We're getting closer to a third hour. And well, we just lost 2 people. I should have reminded they were still here. But there's 100 people here right now on a Friday night. We know you have lots of choices. Really, thank you guys so much for being here. Hey, we got an hour. Call us 888-997-4539. We got 2 people on the queue right now, but we'd love to hear from everyone out there. So if you normally don't call in, please take advantage of this third hour. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Gino from Nevada.
Gino, can you talk in your phone a little more? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah, let me turn you up. Go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, I'm from Nevada.
Okay, and what's on your mind tonight? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just want to talk about USC and how the fan is always concerned about Lincoln Riley. And the reason why is, let's face it, right now Lincoln Riley's offense is averaging over 42 points a game. How many Big Ten teams are averaging 42 points a game?
Okay.
Not very many, if any.
Great point. Let me play devil's advocate because I hear it every day because I have a lot of Big Ten friends. They will point to the fact that Lincoln Riley did that in the Big 12 and the Pac-12 where they say we don't play defense. What's your response?
The thing is, last year we lost 5 games. Out of the 5 games, 3 of those were less than 10 points. Our biggest problem is we scored 42, but our defense gave up 35. I think the coaching staff that Lincoln Riley put together is probably one of the best staffs in all college football. And if we can get that down from 35 to 21, even with last year's points that we gave up, we would have been 11-2, and we'd be in the running to make the college. So I think we are in the right spot, and I think we should give him credit for what the changes he's done.
No, and listen, Gino, absolutely. Anyone that's not giving Riley credit. You might want to turn your TV down in the back. But anyway, I'll try to answer that. I'll turn you down quick, and I'll try to answer that. You bring up a great point. I mean, I think everyone's been saying, and that's why I feel so confident. And so weird how the national media, maybe because the national media thought that Lincoln Riley would never get a defense, right? They always said, well, God, with this offense, all he needs is just a decent, all he needs is a competent defense. All he needs is, just a defense that's not going to lose games for them. Well, now all of a sudden on paper, remember, on paper, not on grass, but on paper, he has a defense that looks like they are going to be a competent defense at the very least that's not going to lose games for them. I feel very confident saying that. I do. But no one else has caught on to it either. So again, that just tells me that they're just going to say, okay, why don't you show us? Maybe they have a little more wisdom than me, and they're saying, well, we're going to wait till we see it. Like Matt was saying, and they got the doubting Thomas. They're going to wait until they can actually press the flesh and see it before they're going to believe it. And we will, like I said, we only have to wait. It'll be a short couple more weeks here, and we'll be able to see what USC does against LSU. And a very good it is. Those tackles, I don't know about the entire offensive line, but those tackles are legit. Let's see what USC is able to do against that. Matt, you have any thoughts?
Pretty much said it all.
With what you said, I just think that we should. I honestly think the team will be good this year. I think next year will be the year where they can win the Big Ten.
Gino, your audio is going up and down. I've had to move it a couple of times because I think it's our connection. I know you've been waiting a long time. If you want to call back, you got 2 people in front of you. You want to call back, we could finish the phone call, but I'm having a really hard time hearing you. So I agree with you. We should do well, but I'd love to try to call us back on the line. We only have 2 people in front of you. Appreciate your call, but we're having a really bad problem with your audio. Thank you though for calling in.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Appreciate you. Thanks for calling. Yeah, Matt. I mean, all you need is a competent defense. We know that USC is going to put up points. We just do. That's what Lincoln Riley does year in and year out. No matter how much people. I mean, I heard it. I heard people say this is going to be the worst quarterback that Lincoln Riley's ever had. The guy just threw 6 touchdowns and for 360 some yards in the bowl, and they're saying he's the worst already. And then they've let him play 1 game. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, I would say this. I think it's highly likely that USC will have a good offense this year. But we need to see the offensive line first.
Absolutely.
If that offensive line does not do the job, then it could be really tough sledding, and that's where USC could slip to 8-4. It's really up to the offensive line to bring this thing home. It's really weird, right? After 2 years of Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, you think, okay, of course USC is going to have a good offense, even no matter what the quarterback is, because Lincoln Riley's the quarterback whisperer. And we have great receivers, Zachariah Branch, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane. But really, the offensive line, it's the offensive side of the ball, to me, that is the biggest question. The other question, I mean, the main question on defense is not so much the talent. You and I agree here, Tim. Like, we both think that the starting 11 on defense is a good starting 11. But if injuries hit, we do not have the depth. But like starting against LSU,
depends on the position.
Starting against LSU, the biggest concern for me is the offensive line. That's number 1. Defensive line becomes an issue if depth and attrition immediately enter the conversation.
Really, on defense, I think we're deep everywhere except for the interior defensive tackle. But even there, I think I do think you know, I think that they've moved some pieces around there, and I think maybe we might have some. But yes, there's definitely some depth issue on the inside of the defensive line. But I'll tell you what, everywhere else, Matt, I just don't think we have depth issues. Corner, no way. Safety, nope. Linebacker, no. You know, defensive end, absolutely not. We got a lot of talent there. Inside,
it's up
maybe.
front and in the middle. It's up front and in the middle. That's where the depth is lacking, no question.
Yeah. And then really quickly, just a way that Miller Moss has talked about Elijah Page and Mason Murphy has given me a lot of confidence about the line situation. I think our interior is going to be fine. The pieces I'm worried about really was just how was Mason Murphy going to make that step up, right? You know, that finally been waiting for him to do that. And from what we're hearing, granted, what's he going to say? But I mean, you know, I'm going to take them on face value, both Miller Moss and Riley, the fact that Mason has shown them something recently that they haven't seen from him before.
Let's hit on a news item here, folks. Everyone's
okay. Caller, hang on one second, caller.
The third hour here at the Voice of College Football. Let's hit on a news item. Lincoln Riley said at Big Ten Media Days, quote, "We're not completely done yet," unquote, in terms of the roster for 2024. Hopefully that means there is a defensive tackle, defensive line, or maybe interior offensive line pickup as a roster addition that's still going to come to this roster. So didn't want to neglect that particular story from Big Ten Media Days. Hopefully there's some interior line help still coming USC's way for this season.
Well, I mean, they did pick up the JUCO kid, Erwin Taami. I'm totally blowing that. I'm sure.
Receiver from a small college, yeah.
But he's a
that wasn't what Riley was primarily referring to.
So, no, I'm just saying. Hold on, I have a guy that really wants to let me know he's a loud bike out there. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Hi, caller. Sorry for waiting. Appreciate you being here. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Tim, it's Hoagie. How you doing, sir?
Good, Hogue. How are you, man?
Not too bad. Hey, I got a couple questions for you. One, to get on back to Notre Dame and stuff like that. They usually play Notre Dame. Notre Dame used to play Purdue, Michigan State every year. It was actually Notre Dame that dropped it because it wasn't Purdue and them. It was actually Notre Dame that did that. It was every year occurrence, and then they started doing this stuff with the ACC. Anyway, my question is, I want to ask you this, and Matt too, is what are they going to do if the defenses, the DBs and stuff like play press and runs or bump and runs, get up on the line and press them and stuff like that? How will they be able to do that? And also, with the defense and stuff like that, yeah, and stuff, everything's good. But what are they going to do if they revert back to like they was the last three seasons with USC?
Okay, well, the first part, so I do think they're going to be physical. USC has some big I'm not sure if you watched any of UCLA's. Did you watch any UCLA games last year?
Yeah, I've seen like a couple of them, but not too many.
Well, I saw their corner John Humphreys blow up a couple plays against USC last year by, again, being physical, being up at the line, just shedding blocks and making plays. One in particular, blowing past on a screenplay and blowing it up. And he's now a Trojan, and he's big, he's physical. Jacoby Covington's a big, he's a big physical. All of them. If you look at USC's corners, they're all DeCarlos Nicholson, who came in from Mississippi State. These guys are all.
No, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm talking about when USC's on offense, what are they going to do? How's the receivers going to be able to handle the bump and pressure like that if they play them up against the line and bump them and stuff like that? Try to force them out of their try to force them out of their routes and stuff like that.
They'll just beat them up over the top. I mean, listen. You heard what we were talking about. I think Lemon and Branch are strong enough and quick enough to line to be able to get off the line, to get off and get upfield. So that's not. I don't think that's how they're. I don't think they're going to play us that way. They're going to give these guys. We got speedsters, and we have a number of guys we've brought in through the transfer portal. Then if you flip the other side, they have like Deuce Robinson. Deuce Robinson is 6'5". He's 6'6". He's a big guy. over 200 pounds. You try to jam him at the corner. They better have a big corner to try and jam him at the line. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I'm not too concerned about physical play. Again, I'm like Riley, like everyone else. Let's just see, USC has athletes, especially a wide receiver. If they choose to try to play that, and try to affect the timing, I'm sure they'll make adjustments, but I'm not concerned about it. Matt, do you have concerns about guys getting jammed to the line?
I don't. And one of the things that came up at Big Ten Media Days from hearing Miller Moss talk about his personnel on offense, Miller Moss said, we have different kinds of receivers. Receivers that have different playing styles, that have different strengths. So that's one of the really good things about this wide receiver room. It's not as though you have a lot of skill duplication. You have different kinds of guys who are going to play in different ways and then fill different roles. And, we didn't have that last year, right? We didn't have really a strong differentiation with 3 or 4 different guys all being productive, but being able to operate in different ways across the field. So I love the mixture of this wide receiver room. But really in the big picture, in terms of the wide receivers functioning effectively, it still comes back to the offensive line giving Miller Moss time to throw. That is the center of the whole thing. That is the pillar of this operation. If Miller Moss gets time to throw, it probably all comes together really well. And if he doesn't get time to throw, gulp.
Yeah, I'm sure that. Yeah. Do we get this one? Mark Williams, thank you so much for the super sticker. I'm not sure if we got that one or not. Again, just overwhelmed with the amount of support we're getting tonight financially. So if we didn't, Mark, sorry if we missed this one. Appreciate you being here. And thank you also for the $10 super chat. And Brad, 405, thank you also for being here and the super chat as well. Yeah. Anything else, Hoagie? We got 4 people behind you. We got to kind of get moving.
Yeah, a couple of other questions too. With Marcel, the thing is, he can get that ball out quick though, so that's gonna. But you wonder if that's gonna help the receivers too. Another thing too, once it gets to later in the season, like October, November, we start getting colder, and the West Coast strip and stuff like that. Do you think the West Coast bias will hurt when they won't how teams who have to travel cross country in November and stuff like that might have an effect on them in their first year of the Big Ten?
I liked Riley's answer, and it's similar to what I've been saying the whole time. And he almost said the exact same thing I said. He said they're going to watch an extra movie, or whatever, because when you get on a plane to fly to Utah, you can't take a bus to Utah, right? So, and these guys are not, they're not going, flying commercial. They're getting chartered flights. I think the travel for them is not the issue. So what it's going to come down to is a little bit more time on a plane. And he brought the point also that, as far as recovery time and coming back to SC, they gain an hour. So they get an hour back. So when you're talking about getting ready for the next game, they gain an hour back on the flight coming back from whereas opposed to if you're an East Coast team, you lose that time heading back when you leave out after the game. So, I mean, I know it's minimal, the hour there, but at the end of the day, really, I mean, these guys are flying. They're used to flying to, away games. The only one that they don't fly to is obviously to UCLA. So it's not like these guys aren't used to getting on a plane and flying. So what is it? So instead of having like a 2-hour flight or an hour and 45-minute flight, they're having 3-hour and 4-hour flights, right? So, I mean, really, what is the major difference? The issue is going to be not the flight and travel. It'll be the time and the body clocks and those early, big noon kickoffs, which would be, 9 a.m. local time for them. Those may become an issue, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So here's a specific point. Here's a specific point. Here's a specific point on the travel. All right. If you look at the schedule, Penn State, October 12th, home game. Maryland road game the following Saturday. And then we have the Friday night game against Rutgers on October 25th. And here's a key point. Because we're playing a Friday game on the 25th, that October 19 game against Maryland, a week after the big game against Penn State, that Maryland game, I mean, we haven't had an announced time, but it's very likely that will be a noon game. It probably won't be on Fox, but it might be a noon game on Big Ten Network. So if we assume that Maryland game is a noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific kickoff. Like that could be the body clock trap game for USC, coming off what is certain to be a physical and very mentally draining game against Penn State. And then you have a short week the following week for Rutgers, going to Maryland. And, you know, Jeff Tedford just retired from coaching. A Jeff Tedford Cal team with a lot of talent went to College Park nearly 20 years ago for one of those nooners and was flat as a pancake. And like Jeff Tedford's a really good coach. He had a really good Cal team that year. I think it was either 2006 or 2007, 2008, something in there. Good team, but just did not answer the alarm clock in College Park. So I'm circling that October 19 Maryland game. That's going to be the big body clock test, or at least it's likely to be that kind of game for USC.
All right, Hogue, I got to move on. Thank you so much for calling.
All right, take care. See you. Okay,
Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, that's a game. So he was talking about how Notre Dame dropped Purdue, but you know, the one that was surprising they dropped was the Michigan State one, because the Michigan State rivalry with Notre Dame was longer than really, because Michigan stopped playing them all those years. The Michigan State one was the one that was the protracted long rival that they dropped, which was kind of interesting. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mark calling from Albuquerque.
Mark, good to hear from you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to hear from you guys again tonight. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. By the way, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat earlier. Really appreciate that.
No problem. I tried to get that in last week, but I guess I was having some issues and stuff. But I'm glad I'm going to get that in.
It's not a requisite, but we appreciate it.
No problem. I just wanted to quickly give my weekly rant, and then I wanted to kind of ask you guys a question on your opinion, if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
You there, Mark?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, hi. Take your time. You're all right. So what's your question?
Okay, so hold on. I had to cut you guys off in the background. So can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I have a quick rant, and then I want to have a question for you guys. First of all, the rant, you know, I'm always talking about the fandom and all that stuff, and you know, kind of the crazy, you know, outtakes and stuff. But the last 15 to 20 minutes of last week's call that you guys had was phenomenal. I mean, it was exceptional. You know, as a football head myself, I'm like, wow. And the guy that you had from Oklahoma and the other guy is talking about, you know, personnel and stuff like that was good. But the guy from Oklahoma enlightened me so much on things that I wasn't aware of, or maybe I didn't have any idea of, in regards to, I'm always like looking at Matt over there, like, why are you such a Debbie Downer? But I guess, you know, he's coming with these subliminal messages, you know, like, okay, well, Henson, you know, we got to question him and that, because I didn't understand that, okay, Lincoln Riley had a superb offensive line coach who didn't come over or something like that. So now I understand the skepticism. I just kind of wish that you guys would kind of be a little bit more forthright, so we as the people who don't know the inside would kind of have an idea of some of these things. Because, I mean, I was like so excellent. And that dude from Oklahoma was on point on everything, you know, from the Broussard, signing with Oklahoma.
Yeah, he called that. You're right.
Regarding the offensive line. I'm like, dude, so I had to apologize to Matt. And I'm like, I'm always looking at Matt as skeptics. I'm like, dude, man, why are you so pessimistic about everything? But if you got these insights, let us know, man. Help us out. That was like so on point. But getting to the question of all the people and everything that's transpired, I just want to ask you and Matt to give me one coach that, if heaven forbid Lincoln Riley was to leave, you know, or whatever happened, outside of the coaching staff that we have here now, exclude Urban Meyer, because of course Urban Meyer, I don't think Carol Folt's going to hire Urban Meyer. And outside of Ed Orgeron or Pete Carroll, who would you hire to replace Lincoln Riley, and why? Just one coach, you and Matt. If you guys could give me that information, I'd appreciate it.
That's easy.
And that's all I had to say. Fight on, guys. Thank you. Go ahead.
Fine. That's easy. It's John Gruden. Haven't you been reading the USC message boards for 30 years? Come on, John Gruden. I couldn't help.
I didn't even think about John Gruden.
Oh my God. Oh my God. The 2 days have been kicked around for 20 years are John Gruden and sorry, not 20 years, but since Pete Carroll left, John Gruden and Urban Meyer. John Gruden, Urban Meyer, John Gruden. It's just so anyway. Oh man, hey, listen. Can I ask for a pass on this one? Because here's what my answer is to you. I don't even want to speculate in that world. You know why? Because I am so emotionally invested in this team and Lincoln Riley, and that I know that Lincoln Riley is no, he's not a California guy from California. We always hear you have to be this fit, that, whatever, blah, blah. I got news for everyone across the country. If you guys are from around the country right now, hear me say something to you. Most of the people around here aren't from California. A lot of people come here to live here in California because they like it here. Now, I think he gets USC. I think that Riley does understand USC. I think Riley does understand what you can do here. I think that all weighed into, because I take little shots and it is joking. It's almost like an admiration, because we were talking earlier about blue bloods. Oklahoma is about as blue of the blue bloods as you're going to get, right? And he left that school. Right. You don't leave Oklahoma unless you have a reason or a vision for why you're leaving. I really do, Matt. The Riley files that you guys did, that was brilliant. I don't think Riley ever leaves Oklahoma if they gave him what he wanted. I think they slow played Riley. He got pissed off because Riley doesn't seem to me the kind of guy that's going to sit around and let you jerk him around. I'm sorry. He just doesn't appear to be that guy. And he left Oklahoma because I think he was frustrated and disappointed and quite frankly angry, and he left. And when you have a blue blood like USC knocking on the door, and you can look at that program and you can say, what do my office will look like with all those receivers and those quarterbacks? Because I'm out in California and I'm out there recruiting. Why don't I just go out to California and then just start my process there? Because this is really, I will if you want me to. We'll play this game, but I'm asking you just man to man. The season hasn't even started yet. I'm really bullish on this season. I think he's an amazing coach. He's gonna be here for a long time. I don't want to put that negative energy into the air. I mean, but if you listen, you called in, you took your time to call me. I will give you an answer, but I'm asking you, will you let me off the hook?
Without a doubt, I'm pro Riley 100%. I understand, from my perspective.
Then let's not talk this.
To be successful.
Let's keep this out of the universe. We don't need, it's a great question. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Matt, you'll answer this one. Go for it, Matt. Save me.
I will answer it, but I share Tim. Like, we really shouldn't be talking about this sort of topic, and we did establish very firmly and clearly earlier in the show, Lincoln Riley's staying at USC the next 2 years, period, end of sentence, zero question. He's not bolting for the NFL. He wants to figure this thing out. So he's going to be here through 2025. But you did ask me a question. What, Tim?
You said 2 years? I think he's here longer than 2 years.
Well, I mean, at least 2 years.
Guaranteed 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you did ask us a question. It's the third hour. It's late at night, so I'm going to give you an answer. But again, I share Tim. Like, we shouldn't be spending time on this and creating the idea that we enjoy speculating about, because we don't. But if just asking me who I'd have, Mike Elko would be my head coach, and a guy named Pete Carroll would be defensive coordinator. Much in the same way that Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Guys tired of the grind, getting older. You don't give him the full plate of responsibilities, but you can still scheme him up. Put Pete Carroll in that role. He'd certainly do well for fundraising and NIL, but you have Mike Elko running the show as head coach. That's my.
I love that, but I think Pete Carroll's going to spend the next five or so years waiting for his gold jacket, being there for his son Brennan Carroll as the OC up at Washington. I think he's just going to support. My guess would be he's going to be sitting and just smiling ear to ear, watching his son be the coordinator up at Washington. I don't think Carroll has, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like he's won a national championship as a head coach. He's won a Super Bowl as a head coach. I don't get me wrong. Pete Carroll is always competing, and you probably could lure him back. But my guess is that guy's put in enough, and he's just going to enjoy watching his son. That's my best guess. But I like it. I love the idea. I do love the idea. That worked, Brad. I think Elko's a great. By the way, I think Elko's a great coach. It's a really good thought there. All right, Mark.
Hey, I appreciate it, and like I said, I love Lincoln Riley. I think he's going to revamp this program. I'm not here to say anything negative.
No.
You know, like, you know, I call him every week, and I kind of say the same thing. You know, I think that this was a play of attrition, and things worked out great for USC moving forward defensively. Had we won a couple games, we'd probably still be entrenched in that same thing. You know, the defense not knowing where to line up and not knowing how to tackle. So we're going up. I just, since that seems to be the fodder all the time, I just wanted to throw that out there. If he was to leave, and I'm not saying I want him to leave, who would you guys still think would be the successor? So that's all I kind of wanted to just throw it out there. Not saying that I don't love not Pete Carroll. I'm saying I don't love Lincoln Riley. I think he's a fantastic hire. He shocked the world. I think he's going to do great things. You know, we just need some time to get out there on the field, and all the other stuff to take place.
Well, you know, Mark,
that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to get you guys out there.
We got one caller waiting, and they've only been waiting about 19 minutes. So let me say this to you real quick. If Pete Carroll were to leave, if Lincoln Riley were to leave, I feel comfortable in the fact that we have Jen Cohn as our AD. In the fact that, so she did make the Lake hire really quickly, but those were some strange circumstances when Coach Pete decides he's just going to retire, and then they thought but she quickly corrected that, and then she had a home run hire with Kalen DeBoer. I think that I'm not concerned about him leaving, but if something, God forbid, were to happen, I think this current state, forgive me, Adam, of our administration from top to bottom, I think USC is completely dedicated to being a successful football program. So I don't think we need to worry about the messes we used to see when USC tried to go out and hire coaches in the past. I think that this administration's shown that they are professionals in what they do, and they would find the right fit for USC to make us successful. That's where I'll leave it. But I don't see it, Lincoln Riley going literally anywhere unless he wins a couple championships.
Right, and I agree. And like I said, I don't want to keep you guys. I know you guys got other people in the queue, but I want to give a quick shout out to Matt. Matt, I'm going to get on your ass the next time if you're giving these subliminal messages and you know facts, let us know what you're talking about, man, so I won't be talking crazy saying, well, what the hell is Matt talking about? You know, talking about coach this or coach that, or this strength coach this or that. If you got these insights, man, let us know a little bit.
Mark,
you don't have to tell us the whole thing, but give us some idea.
Mark, go ahead and look down in the description of this video. It has the link to where we're every day. What he's the editor at Trojans Wire. He also writes for Trojans Wire, so you will see tons. And why aren't you reading him? Because you will get all that insight if that's what you want. You can get Matt 7 days a week if you want, because he's there writing prolifically. You think that Stephen King can write? You see Matt just turning it out. He'll have plenty of articles for you if you want to see his thoughts on football.
I would just say back in the day, I would just say in early December of 2021, right after Lincoln Riley was hired by USC, that was the week when we were all wondering if Bill Bedenbaugh was going to come to LA. And when he said no, I said, like, that was a hit. That was a rough moment for USC. So, like, not trying to rewrite history. I was really hoping that we would get Biedenbaugh, and when we didn't, like, that was certainly a negative. And I think that's, but let's see what Josh Henson delivers this year. If he answers the bell, then all is right in the world. But if not, then Bill Biedenbaugh not joining Lincoln is going to become an even larger moment in the history of USC football, and not for the best of reasons.
Great, Paul. Great call, Mark. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you call back again next week. It's good hearing from you.
I sure will, man. I appreciate it. You guys spot on and keep keeping out the information, man. And no subliminal messages. I'll be checking the Trojan Wire and everything and making sure I read everything so I can be more adept to what's going on, not being, in the not know.
We'll both keep an eye.
Tim's going to be reporting on preseason camp for Trojans Wire, so you definitely want to follow what he writes as a reporter.
And we'll both Mark. We'll both keep an eye on Matt. Don't worry, we'll both do it. Caller, hang on one second. We got a super chat we're going to hit really quick. So Brad 405, thank you so much. You got another super chat in here. I appreciate it. You said, as a Sooner fan, I'm curious about Tarquin. Can his game improve under Biedenbaugh? Was he a loss for you guys, or was he not getting it done? Be honest. He struggled on the line. I don't know how much of that was, I mean, clearly, Brad, I know you know football, and sometimes it's just the guys coming together and the chemistry and passing off, whose responsibility is what. So I don't know if he's looking bad, but it did seem sometimes kind of that step. I don't know. Some sort of footwork was kind of interesting to me at times, and there were some free runners on that right side quite often. I don't know how much of that was Michael Tarquin or not, but I'll tell you what, the staff was excited about bringing him in from Florida, and if there's anyone that can get something out of him, Josh Henson's a good coach. I'm not, until proven otherwise, I say he's a really good coach. But obviously Biedenbaugh showed us, what he could do over the years, and I don't really have an answer for you. I'll leave it. I don't think it was a good fit. I don't think that Tarquin was a good fit for the line. I'm not saying that he cannot be a good fit for the Sooners. There, I'll leave it there. Matt, your thoughts? Oh, we lost you. Are you on mute?
Yeah, just didn't work out. I mean, Bobby Haskins was a great portal fit in 2022, and one of the big stories of USC's offensive line in 2023 was that the portal pickups, for varying reasons, they just didn't happen. I mean, I know that Tim mentioned, Ethan White, who along with Tarquin was from Florida, was from the Gators, and Ethan White having to basically retire from football for health reasons. That was obviously really unfortunate, but, there was Tarquin, there was Jarrett Kingston, there was Pregnon, and none of them maxed out. And when you have 3 different portal pickups and none of them are maxing out for varying reasons, I mean, like, that's kind of neither here nor there. It's just, you take big swings in the portal and they don't work out. You're not hitting grand slams. You're maybe hitting bloop singles or bloop doubles at best. Well, then that's going to have an effect.
I will say Pregnon's a guy that I'm really high on this year. I think that this is a great opportunity for our ongoing debate, Matt, with Josh Henson, for him. What happens with his overall. But I do think the Ethan White hit was the big one. I think they had him penciled in at right tackle. I thought they probably had Kingston at right guard for White, and then they had Kingston right tackle. I don't know. I mean, I haven't even get the position, but I do know that White was medically not cleared. I think it just became kind of like just like an avalanche from that point. It just seemed like they tried to cobble together, an offensive line unit is called a unit for a reason. They need to really work together and passing off and assignments and, calling out plays and knowing it's just a very complicated thing. And you get that feel, as you probably know, with the reps that they get together. And I just don't think that they did so many combinations earlier, just trying to figure out what would fit. I don't think they ever got a working unit together until the Holiday Bowl, that seemed like it could get, that was working on the right side. So I don't know. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, great family. I met his dad like the first game before the first game of the year. And, Michael Tarquin's a good guy. I wish him the best. And I'm sure he's going to contribute for you guys. And I do wish him the best. Well, hello, caller. How are you doing? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Odell, and I'm calling from Las Vegas.
Odell from Las Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, how you doing? What's on your mind?
And then, well, fun fact, I live literally right up the street from the stadium. So I live really close to the stadium. But I wanted to say is that we're getting so much, SC gets so much vitriol with going to the Big Ten. Like, they rank us really far back. They rank our quarterbacks really far back. I can't even name one quarterback that's better than our quarterback. That's outside of Ohio State, the kid from Oklahoma. But think about this. Our record would be a lot better if we played in the Big Ten last year, because we played against Washington State's quarterback, who's a pro, waiting to be a pro. We played against Utah's quarterback. Well, he didn't play all season, but their backup quarterback, he was amazing. Arizona's quarterback was really good. UW's quarterback was really good. I mean, there was a constant Arizona. All these quarterbacks are really, really, really good. They would dominate those quarterbacks in the Big Ten last year. I just want to know what you think about how they're treating SC like we don't dominate the Big Ten. I think we're probably the second or third best team in that league.
Well, preseason rankings are a lot of fun, but they're very rarely extremely accurate, right? And again, when you have a team like USC, when you have a quarterback like Miller Moss, when we had question marks on the offensive line last year that we think should be not just fixed, but we should be happy with our offensive line. There's a lot of moving pieces. I think that when they do those rankings, they do kind of look at, like, for instance, Dylan Gabriel is gonna set records. I mean, the guy's been playing football for 25 years now, and he's but I mean, but he's a good quarterback. He's put up the numbers, but again, longevity is always a great thing. But he's put up numbers, and Drew Aller's kind of
outside of the Penn State quarterback and obviously Dylan Gabriel. Name one other quarterback that can you even name a quarterback that from all these other teams like
Will Rogers is at Washington. That's gonna be a kind of interesting with Jed Fish. That'll be an interesting. I mean, that's an interesting marriage there. Would you agree? Tyler Van Dyke. I don't know this guy. I don't know what's going on. He was Tyler Van Dyne's 1 year in Miami, right? He's killing it in Miami, and then he sinks into nowhere last year.
Well, he sucked like for 2 years after that. One good year though.
Okay.
So he sucks.
But he had showed. No, well, hold on. He didn't suck. He's a Division I quarterback. I'm not going to call Division I quarterback guy sucks.
I think they suck.
Okay, well, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm going to say that
he did stink. You don't think he stunk at Miami?
Yeah, okay, hold on. Let's keep going.
I would say underperformed. He underperformed.
I mean, there's a lot of unproven young guys that have a lot of talent, but I mean, I wouldn't count out a guy like, Aiden Childs with matching up with Jonathan Smith, another brutal, a nice, just like I was talking about Jed Fish, that's and Will Rogers. That's a good combination right there that can be very, very successful. No, I mean, I don't think the conference is full of
the Aiden Child start last year. I don't remember him starting. I really don't remember him playing much, so I don't know how he is.
Well, I'm saying he's a very talented. He's a talented quarterback. You're asking me who, are there any? Do I know any talented quarterbacks in the Big Ten? And you asked me to do that, and I'm naming them for you. And I'm not just naming the quarterback, right? Because that's only a part of the piece. I'm also telling you that he's got Jonathan Smith behind him. You know, I'm not just saying Will Rogers. I'm saying he's playing a Jedfish system. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Miller Moss. I'm saying Miller Moss teamed up with, you know, Lincoln Riley. There's more to it that, you know, there's a lot of things that go into this. So I think they're, you know, let's let them play. Let's see how they do. Let's see how sophomore Aiden Childs does.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think and the thing with not only with Miller Moss, SC, I don't even remember having a quarterback that wasn't really good, you know, really, really good in college. Like I don't remember that.
I can think of a couple, but I gotta go back. I gotta go back a ways. But yeah, there's a couple that were good, but they were not.
Maybe to the 80s or 90s.
We had some good, not
really far back.
We had some good, not great guys in the 90s, and you know, actually,
okay.
And if you go to the early 90s, oh my God, I'm blanking out. But you know, Todd Maranovich left early. I mean, we were running an option. We were running like an option. We've had years where we have not had the kind of quarterback, but you do have to go back quite a ways into the 90s in order to not find, you know, starting with Carson Palmer on, really, we've had NFL quarterbacks.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So I'm saying we've always had really, really good quarterbacks, whether Lincoln Riley is there or not. We've always had really, really good quarterbacks. And that's like, what, 20 years, 20 plus years ago. Since we've always had good quarterbacks. I just don't really think the Big Ten has a history outside of Ohio State and really Ohio State and maybe Michigan a little bit have really good quarterbacks. The offenses aren't great. So they play a lot of teams where the offense can't keep up with Ohio State for one. You know, so what do you guys think about that? They get to play these subpar quarterbacks and teams, and it pads it. And when we get to them, it's going to be amazing next year.
The longest argument I've had in the Voice of College Football networks with multiple people, multiple allegiances to teams, has always been this: is it the offenses in the Pac-12 or is it the defenses in the Big Ten? And you know what? I think we just imported, you know, 4 of the best 5 offenses, you know, into the Big Ten this year from the last couple of years. And so we're going to get a really good look at, is it the offenses, you know, that are so great in the Pac-12, or is it the defenses that are so stifling in the Big Ten? My guess, just as an educated guess, is probably going to be somewhere in the middle. But I would have to say, I think it's going to lean more towards the offenses, because I think elite offenses have proven throughout history that they trump elite defenses. There you go.
Got it.
All right, man. Listen, thanks for calling in.
Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Absolutely. See you next Friday.
All right, Odell, please call back next week. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for taking the time to call in.
We'll do.
All right.
Have a good night, Mark.
Right on, Odell. Okay, guys. We got about what do we have now? We got 20 minutes left. We got one caller on the phone, on the line, actually in the queue. Make sure if you do want to make some calls, once we hit that 10 o'clock, I promise you this, I need a couple drinks, because I might step off for a second here, Mark, Matt, let you take a little bit of this one. I will be back, but I need to go get a drink. 2 hours and 45 minutes. I gotta wet the whistle. So
yeah, bring
I'll be
the
right
caller
back
on and I'll field this one. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Caller, hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller, you there? Oh, my bad.
This is Danny from Oklahoma.
Hey, Danny, how you doing? Hey, Danny, I'm gonna step aside here really fast. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Okay, so you're on with Matt. I'll be right back. This is Danny, Matt, who called. By the way, congratulations, great call on Boucard. Congratulations on getting him. You did call it, sir. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Now go ahead. What's your question for Matt, or your comment for Matt?
Yeah, I just wanted to lay out some information about my take on the Big Ten Conference Media Day.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Danny, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Yes. Yes, I listened to your show tonight, and I feel you guys' pain. You guys have definitely been disrespected as far as the Big Ten Media Day goes. I mean, you guys were treated like third-class citizens, and I understand that, and that I agree with you on that. But you know what? It's the same thing happened to Oklahoma during the SEC Media Day. I mean, we was treated the same way, and like, you know, we made, you know, that we're not going to be any good or anything like that. And look at our history too. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we're a blue blood program, and if you take in consideration, we have owned Texas. I mean, literally owned them in the last, you know, 25 years or 24 years. It's not even close as far as championships goes. I'm talking conference championships. You know, we have won, this is hard to believe, but you can check the data on this. They've won 50 conference championships. 50. I don't know if anybody in the country's ever won that many conference championships. But anyway, we got treated the same way. And I feel for you guys. And the only thing I can figure out is that because of our, you know, we didn't win the Big 12 conference, and Texas did, even though we beat Texas in the regular season. But yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense how either programs was treated.
Well, I would say, Danny, in response, that, you know, respect has to be earned. It's not going to be given, you know, and really you have a big conference full of skeptics. You have a nation full of skeptics, but the only guys who really need to believe are the ones in that locker room, or the ones in the foxhole. And hopefully, as you know, as Gary from Dana Point talked about, as other callers have talked about, hopefully just the coaches and the players are going to soak up all that disrespect, and they will translate it into an inspired, detail-oriented performance. So that's where we are. You know, like, this team has to earn respect, and like, it's not unfair that this team has to earn respect. When you go 7-5, you lose respect, and you need to get it back. Now that's just the long and short of it.
That's the truth. I understand that. But anyway, basically what I was calling is I understand where you guys are coming from, how you feel. We feel the same way, you know, as far as Oklahoma fans. So, but anyway, that's all I had tonight. I'm enjoying your show, and thanks for taking my call.
Anytime. Listen, we enjoyed your call last week. Enjoyed it. Let's open up the Oklahoma Sooner and Trojan fan base. Let's put an end to all this stuff on one call at a time. And listen, every time you've called in, Danny.
Yes, sir. I'm with you on that.
It's
ridiculous, and you know, I mean, I told you this before, you know, and you know, I think you already know this. I try to be as honest, and you know, and I love Oklahoma. I'm a Oklahoma Sooner fan. I'm not a homer. There's a difference. You know, a homer will, you know, he'll do anything he can to stand up for his program, even if it's wrong. I'm not that type of person. I like to call them like I said, you know, just like the last time we played USC. Y'all kicked the shit out of us. And that's exactly what happened. But we move on, you know, and we respect that. And so I just hope other people can do the same.
Absolutely. When I look around the country and I look for people that are on the same level as USC's program, Oklahoma is one of the few programs that I can actually look at and say, yeah, you guys have done it right over the years, and you've been like super talented. So I appreciate. Listen, I really do appreciate your call. I know you guys are out there, and unfortunately on the internet we don't run into many great Sooner fans. But before all this happened, I used to run into Sooner fans all the time, and I have the utmost respect for you guys. And thank you for calling in.
Well, I got respect for you guys. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, you'd have to be. I mean, that's stupidity not to admit and face up. You know what kind of program USC's been for all these years. You know, they've earned that. And Oklahoma's earned that. But sometimes, like you said, we're just going to have to prove it on the field. That's the only thing we can do.
That's right. And we're both entering conferences to be able to prove to the rest of football that, you are Oklahoma, we are USC, and we don't take a second seat to anybody in any conference. So yeah, no doubt.
That's right.
Great.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Danny. I hope we continue to hear from you.
I enjoy y'all's show. I look forward to it every Friday. So I'm going to keep calling in. So this won't be the last time you hear from me.
You're more than welcome. All right. Appreciate your time, Danny. Talk to you soon.
All right. You guys have a good night.
All right.
You too. Thank you.
Great call, Matt. I mean, I love having those. We was waiting on hold. I appreciate you being here. You waited a good 33 minutes and then you hung up about 10 minutes before. You hung up 10 seconds before you were coming on. So if you just hung up, go ahead. Feel free to call back. We have about 15 more minutes of calls. Otherwise, Matt and I, we can just kind of talk about, continue our conversation about media days. What are we could go into a little more in depth about talking about Lincoln Riley's comments on scheduling and the Irish. I mean, there's a lot to that, really. And I know Will's not going to want to hear this, but the way Riley really made it sound is, hey, look, we can continue these traditions and mean a lot to a lot of people. But what do you want more? Do you want to continue playing Notre Dame, or do you want to position yourself to be position yourself in the best way in order to perennially be in the playoffs and winning national championships? What are your goals? Because possibly they could be conflicting with each other. And like you put so perfectly earlier, hey, look, the SEC wasn't cheating. Nobody was punishing them for what they did. They said, well, why the hell won't we do it this way? So for the programs and the conferences that keep butting their heads against the wall, either you can be a traditionalist and keep losing to the SEC, or you can jump into the game. And one thing that's making it easier about not having a stacked, like having that rough, that really difficult out of conference schedule, having that marquee team every year on your schedule, where you're going to most likely face that out of conference team in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So if you are a team that can make it to the playoff by kind of watering down, I'm looking at you, Ohio State, Michigan, the last 2 years before playing Texas this year, it's probably a good call. Am I pissing people off? I'm trying to get people to call in. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going? It's Christian from Mission Viejo.
Christian, thanks for calling back. Loved your call out. You're the one that stumped us last week. Yeah, Christian, how you doing?
I'm excellent. Thank you. I have a couple questions, but I know you guys just have a few minutes left. Let's see. If you could pick any Trojan from the last 10 years to be in addition to the 2024 roster, who would it be?
I got it already. I'll take Leonard Williams. Done. Who wants to go next?
Yeah.
I'll take Leonard Williams, or and then if Leonard Williams was busy this fall, I'll take Stevie T. But one of those two guys are who I want. Matt.
Okay.
I'll go with Austin Jackson just to balance it out on the offensive side of the ball. Tim's going to go front seven, so a defensive front seven, so I have to go offensive line to balance it out.
That makes sense. I think I'd go Big Cat also.
Yeah.
Side with Tim there. Is anybody else waiting in line?
We got one, but you got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
They've only been waiting 43 seconds, so they're good.
Okay. Do you think it's more likely that there's 3 different players leading in all 3 of the major receiving statistics, or 1 player leading in all of them?
Sorry, it's late. Repeat that again for me.
My bad.
No, you said it right. I'm just spaced.
No worries. Do you think it's more likely that there's 3 different players holding the records for all 3 major receiving statistics, or 1 guy having all 3 of them: receptions, yards, and receiving touchdowns?
I'll go with the prior. Yeah. But let's see.
Yeah.
So the Lemon with the most yards. I'll go with Jacoby Lane with the most touchdowns. And then I would go, I'd have to, well, then that just leaves either Juice Robinson or Zachariah Branch for the yards per catch. And both those guys might be that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely think we're going to see a balanced portfolio with these receivers. I mentioned earlier in the show that these are different kinds of receivers. Well, I mentioned it. The USC players, Miller Moss mentioned it at Big Ten Media Days. I made note of Miller Moss mentioning that point at Big Ten Media Days. So, like, there's an awareness among the people in the room, the quarterback, the coaching staff. They're aware that these guys have different skill sets. So that really fits perfectly with different guys leading in different statistical categories as receivers.
And I mean, and I'm pigeonholing those. I mean, it could be any of those guys. Yeah, I think that they're all going to get lots of play. You know, they're going to get lots of. Well, I mean, they're going to all have lots of opportunities to score touchdowns. But I'm just saying that their play styles are very separate, and the ones. So I just laid out the ones I think that'd be easiestly, but nothing ever goes to plan, does it? So I mean, that might sound to me great on paper, but it'll probably be the complete opposite for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I went over it like 3 times, and I probably changed my answer for all of them every time I went over it. So
I know. Were you here? Were you here earlier? Because I was
listening.
Yeah, because I mean, I changed it. I changed to Dennis Simmons, and yeah, I mean, it's fun. Again, these questions are great because they're the great fodder for the offseason, and then everything goes out the window as soon as the season starts. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I mean, I have some other questions, but I can save them for next week if you want to get the other caller in.
Yeah, let's.
So you can have a couple minutes with them.
Sure. That appreciate that, but I really do appreciate your questions every week, Christian. Look forward to them. Absolutely great call. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll make sure to give you guys a ring next week.
Awesome. All right, fight on, man. See you next week.
All right, fight on.
All right, I think we do have time for one more call, Matt. We got 8 minutes. We can take the call and then we can wrap it up and head on out. You guys have all been amazing. I've kind of stopped asking for subs, thinking maybe we get more subs, and we're not getting them because I'm not asking. But if you guys are here, there's 87 of you guys left. You guys are amazing. Is there anybody here? By the way, I'm curious. We're almost 3 hours in. Is there any of the 87 of you guys? I know Adam, you've been here for 3 hours. Keep chopping. I think you've been here for 3 hours. If you've been here for at least 2 hours, just let me know in the chat. I'd love to see who's been here for most of the show. I'm kind of curious. Let me know if you guys have been here since the 7 o'clock, before the 8 o'clock hour. I'm interested in how many people actually have hung on this long. But appreciate everyone being here. If you could take one split second to hit that like button, it really helps us out. And also, if you are not subscribed, why the hell not? Come on, we're doing 3-hour shows. We're working hard here. Go ahead and subscribe to us. All right, caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Scooby, calling from LA.
I'm sorry. Who?
Scooby Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
How you guys doing?
Thank you for becoming a member,
Good,
and
good.
thank you for the super chat.
Absolutely. Love you guys. But I had a question. I want to know, why isn't anybody talking enough? Not that you guys aren't, but the press about Sam Green and Anthony Lucas and Elijah Hughes. And I think the defensive line is in a lot better shape than people might be led to believe.
Yeah, that's all I was talking
about. Guys, what do you think about them?
Yeah, I think people go ahead.
It's not that complicated. It's that, a lot of these guys, I mean, not the brand new guys, but the guys who were in the program a year ago, who was coaching them, right? Alex Grinch. And so,
you're right about that.
We know that this defensive coaching staff is good, but we just got to see it happen on the field. And a lot of, again, this is where the national media skepticism comes into play. They can say, well, you can hire all these new coaches, but it's still Lincoln Riley leading the program, and Lincoln Riley has not had good defenses historically. So it's just a doubting Thomas thing. And I mean, you can't blame the national media to a certain point. And again, my my sore spot with the national media is that when they say he doesn't take it seriously. Well, he's actually done lots of tangible things to show that, you know what, hey, I did things wrong last year. I realized my error. I know there's a need to be different, do things in a different way. Also, you know, Benny Wiley having a different point of emphasis as strength coach, you know, guiding guys in a different way compared to the Grinch regime. But that's what it comes down to, is that you had bad coaches. And of course, not just Grinch, Dante Williams as well. I know that's not defensive line, but still, you know, you had multiple bad coaches on last year's staff, and now you have a lot of good coaches. And so, like, that should translate into a lot. But, you know, a lot of the national media, they're going to say, doubting Thomas. I'll believe it when I see it. And that's just the reality of where we are.
Right. And you know what? You're so right. And when you mentioned yesterday, you guys said it's based on a village, kind of a village voice with all the four coaches on the defense, and instead of just the hierarchy of Lincoln Riley on down. You know, someone like Carlon Jones, I think, is going to surprise people too. And Elijah Hughes' first step is pretty crazy. I mean, I think people are going to be a little surprised at how quick he is off the ball. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just hoping for the best, but
no, I agree. Listen, I completely agree with you. I think these guys are going to work their, you know, our own fans don't really know how good Elijah Hughes is. You know, they haven't looked at his high school film. They haven't seen he hadn't had a lot of opportunity to impress, but you know, he's that guy making that leap. You know what I mean? These guys are going to make big jumps. And there's tons of guys like you brought on Carlon Jones. He's a true freshman. No one knows, but he rolls into campus at a whopping 310. So I mean, you know, he wasn't here in the spring, but he's going. These guys are going to make that. Now I was talking to Gabe today. Hey, it's one thing to come in with college size. It's different to come in with college strength. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not questioning that. I mean, it's like you get 3 or 4 years in a weight program. It's a whole different. But there's also outliers. There's some very strong young men out there that come in and that can dominate. So it's not unheard of. You know, Scooby, do you agree with me? I just thought it was so weird that they weren't too worried about the defensive tackle position. I think you're speaking my language when you're naming the guys. So maybe they're not prototypical size, Scooby. They're not this prototypical size, but they can play in there. And then, like you said, you know, Elijah Hughes is quick, and that quickness and that get off, and he, you know, his first move. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. That's why I said I want to see. I said as of right now, I'm saying we're a bit thin in the middle. But if these guys, you know, if Elijah takes that next step, you know, if Carlon Jones comes in here with that man strength to start off as a true freshman, hey man, all of a sudden things are looking really good. But we're gonna have to see that first, you know. I've been burned too many years for, you know, to go, hey, we're all set. We're all set. Yeah, we're good.
Thank you. You know, when you said yesterday that the recruiting of the defensive tackle position is a little bit funny because they didn't really go after that prototypical defensive tackle size, except for the one cat that went to Oregon from Michigan State. Other than that, it was kind of low key. I think, and you said, I want to know what they're thinking. Maybe they think they already have it in house. I think you're on the right track. I think that they got people already figured out. I think that they believe that what they got is not even just good enough, but going to be surprised the shit out of people. They're going to ball.
You have, you do have, you know, Clifton moving inside, Abasiri. There's a lot of big guys. They're young, they're unproven. Oh, I mean, Clifton's not young and unproven, but I mean, he's moving inside, put extra weight on, see how well he can carry that weight and what he can do on the inside. I'm fairly confident. I think he did actually play a little bit inside as well. Don't quote me on that. But they know what I do know is they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Yeah. You know, we can't go Coach Henny. Matt, that's your cue.
Woof, woof.
Right? You can't do it and then say, well, I don't know if they know what they're doing. How come they didn't pick up in their, you know, where's our nose guard? I mean, what these guys amateur hour? We can't talk out both sides of our mouth. Either we believe that Danton, Lynn, and Henny know what they're doing, which I do believe they know what they're doing. They have a plan. They have a plan, and I'm hoping it works. That's all I'm gonna say.
Want to step in?
Oh,
Want to
yeah.
step in?
Oh,
Want
yeah.
to step in? Want to step in? One note. Another little news item from Big Ten Media Days that we still haven't covered, but we're going to get it in right before the end of the show. Lincoln Riley talked up Jide Abasiri at Big Ten Media Days. So, like, if Lincoln Riley is going to bother to say something about a guy up front on defense, well, that we should take that as a sign that he's doing the right things, that he's really progressing well. So that's very encouraging to hear about Abasiri.
And it's weird, it's almost, you brought that up, but people are not talking about Braylon Shelby too. The way he finished the year last year as a true freshman, coming in this year, we're talking about really, really big guys. And then Cameron Fountain, how fast can they bring him along? I'm not, when Matt and I were talking earlier, like, that's why I said, hey, Matt, I don't know about the depth. I think we have a lot of depth at a lot of positions. The problem why Matt kind of gives me that look is, well, let's just see them on the field. It looks great on paper, and these guys look great on film. But what do they look like when they're going up against, 60-year seniors, right? On that, on the offensive line, how well are they going to hold up? And so that's when the rubber is going to meet the road, right? That's when we're going to see what we have. I'm very confident, but again, Matt, the skeptic is going to wait. You're the doubting Thomas. It's you. No, but I get it. I understand. I was all excited last year about our additions, and while I'm still high on the players, yeah, we just didn't have the scheme. So we'll see.
Here's the thing. I am a doubting Thomas. I am a doubting Thomas about the offensive line, but I actually think that the defense is going to be good, but injuries happen. This is an attrition sport, and so as soon as that one negative domino falls, that's when USC is going to really be in trouble. So it's the attrition. It's not the guys that are going to be starting on day one. It's the attrition. That's the thing. And injuries happen in this sport. So I mean, I think I might have missed some of the people that did chime in. That guy that's motorcycle keeps riding around my house. I swear to goodness. All right. I don't know if I missed other people, but here they are. Did you hit these people? Scooby, thank you. Listen, thank you for calling in, Scooby. And thank you for being a member, and thank you for being here in the chat. I've seen you. You guys, just because I don't comment on these calling shows, especially, it's kind of a lot going on. I got a lot of stuff up in the air at the same time. So I appreciate you guys all being here. Scooby, I do notice you out there, and thank you so much again for that membership and calling in.
You got it, fellas. You guys fire me up. Fight on.
Fight on, Scooby. Yeah, it's gonna be. Listen, I'm ready. That's why I wore the shirt, Scooby. Guys, that's what I mean. I watched Lincoln Riley got me fired up. I'm not gonna lie. I have watching the media days got me really fired up. I like the way he kind of just like they try to be bullies and talk to a guy that's been to 3 playoffs and coached numerous Heisman Trophy winners and won numerous conference games and won the Big 12 how many times, and he just looked. I mean, he was like, "Are you kidding?" You have a chance to talk to FBS coaches, and you come with those questions, guys. I'm sorry. Some of those questions were so juvenile. I don't even know where to begin. I really don't even understand it. Matt, we're coming to an end here, but here's the issue that I have. We have these super chats, and I need you to help me out because I don't know which ones we haven't hit. Because I know some of these we have not hit. Like, for instance, we haven't done this one.
Missed that one. I didn't see that one. Maybe that's when I stepped out for a few minutes. So thank you, Debo.
Okay, so USCJ mentioned NCAA changes on NIL and third-party funding. Your thoughts, good or bad for USC? Yeah, that came out today, and I'm gonna tell you, I haven't done the reading for it at all. I know that they're going to try to police it a lot more. I think this might be a case of the NCAA. Will they be able to will they have the manpower? Because we've seen how they screw this stuff up. Are they going to have the ability to have the oversight? That's my understanding of the latest things. Matt, have you looked into it? I have not looked into it very deeply where I feel comfortable going into it in any kind of depth. But if you haven't,
yeah, I would just say it's more about USC getting its house in order more than anything else. That's the main thing. remember, you talked last week. You said it might not be a money issue. It might just be an inefficiency issue. So that really has to get ironed out.
I think this end of it's not really related to, I mean, I think what he's referring to and what I was referring to either. I thought, here's what I thought, guys. Yeah, I thought people were going to call in and talk about it, and I was going to opine. That's why I love these call-in shows. This stuff just kind of pretty much came down. It's fresh news today. And there was some stuff that came out. And again, I don't want to speak to it because I hadn't really looked into it too much, but I have had conversations about it, briefly, where it has to do with what the NCAA is going to do to try to get a hold on, how legitimate these NIL deals are. I think what they're trying to do is trying to come back again and make some legitimacy to a lot of programs. A lot of people have run with this NIL thing, meaning, hey, look, we can pay for play. And that's not what it was ever supposed to be. There are issues though regarding, people's right to make money in this country and how well it can stand up in court. This is part of, I believe, the deal that they have with the players. Again, I don't want to speak to it because I don't have a lot of information on it yet. And I was too busy writing about the Big Ten stuff that I didn't really get into this one, but I will have more information on tomorrow. This stuff just came out today, but you listen, go check out USCJ. If he did a video on, I'm sure he's on top of it. Make sure you go to his channel. I got a link to his stuff here in the description of my video. So go check him out. I'm sure he was all over the top of it. I'm sure you and I and Mark will be covering it in depth in a couple of days on the Monday show when we have a chance to look at all that. And then the $20 super sticker from Oklahoma fan Brad 405. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that as well.
Well, I think Brad donated $35 tonight. That's amazing, Brad. He had a 20, he had a 10, and he had a 5. So that's $35, Brad. Amazing. And hey, you're an Oklahoma fan, but you're contributing here. That's amazing. That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
but we had Jeff Rodriguez gave over 130. We had Adam with his 100. Supermax had a 20. We had Will ND with a 20. We had several other 20. Jackie Chan Gaming with a 20. We had Gary from Dana Point with I think at least 1 10, maybe 2 10s. Barry Fisher had 2 10s. Gosh, just you guys are absolutely phenomenal.
It is amazing, but to me, honestly, and I truly mean this sincerely, I don't know anyone's financial position, and quite frankly, some of you guys that are just here right now, they can't afford to contribute with your money. I appreciate that as well. Remember, we're always here for an hour. This whole money thing started because people wanted to have a second and a third hour, and we got Matt here, and he's going to be here as long as we fulfill the quota. But I do mean it. Whether you're giving $2 or $100, I appreciate all of you guys being here. It does. It's still kind of amazing to me when I sit here and I get to talk to you guys. I do mean it when I say this is my favorite show every week. You get to talk to the fans and people. I mean, some of you guys know so much. You have so much wisdom that's why that was the whole origin of the show. I used to talk all the time to people saying, I talk to people in the stands that just have this wealth of knowledge. What if we had a show which is kind of like a tailgate, This is a tailgate. I love tailgates. You sit there, you're not talking about the SC game. You're talking about what just happened against Michigan State against Iowa. You just have these conversations. And I love all you guys being here every week. Remember, every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. And then on Monday, Mark, Matt, and I get together for a Trojan Conquest Live. I promise you. So Debo, if you're here, you can see us. You can see us on Monday. We definitely will go into detail about that topic. Believe me, I'm very interested, and I am going to check it out. But we've done it.
Before we wrap up, we hope you enjoyed the Gilligan's Island edition of the Conquest Call-In Show at the Voice of College Football, because it was a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour.
You do know there's some people in this audience that have no idea who the hell Gilligan is, but I do. I remember the reference, even if it was on reruns.
Data Point does. Papa Prangley does.
He definitely does. Yep. So does my brother. I know. We know. But it was a 3-hour tour. It was beautiful to have you guys here. It was a wonderful tour. Thank you guys for being here. Remember to tip your weight down. Remember to check us out over on Trojans Wire. I'm putting more stuff out tonight. Matt will probably get it to her in the morning. We're getting into that time of year. There's going to be a press where we're going to meet up with the coaches and stuff. I think that's on the 30th. I think also right before that, Musselman is opening up a practice, so I'm going to be there as well. So there's going to be a lot of stuff on Trojans Wire if you're basketball and football fans, as well as if anything big pops, like I said, we will jump for a call-in show so you guys can be here. But it's going to be a great week.
Tim, Adam wants a 24-hour show. Hey, if you're up for it, I'm up for it.
On a Friday, I highly doubt I'm up for a 24-hour show. But listen, we could discuss things in the future.
Maybe a Saturday. Maybe like the Saturday before the season.
Matt, do you understand what a 24-hour show is really going to do to us? Are we going to do 8-hour? What are we going to do? Are we going to do like 4-hour cycles? Or what are we going to tag team this?
That sounds good. That sounds good.
I mean, 3 hours is quite a great. This is among the longest shows I've ever done, and I'll tell you guys, 3 hours takes a lot. Talking for 3 hours is pretty surprising. I can't wait to the chat because I'm sure I've made a lot of gaffes saying the wrong thing over 3 hours. It's always fun. By the way, you guys, even if you leave us an emoji, I don't care if it's a middle finger, whatever. If you guys do us a favor, that also helps the algorithm. If you're still here, 78 of you guys. As soon as this thing closes out, if you guys could leave us a comment in the comment section. If you have a question, I answer all questions as long as it's not ridiculous. I will answer your questions and appreciate all of you guys being here. Again, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already. Matt, any last words besides going check us out over on Trojans Wire?
Maybe we can do like an 8-hour show to kind of ramp up to the 24-hour show.
Guys, we've created a monster. I mean, I remember Matt, as soon as Matt used to get to 80 minutes, he was like, good Lord. Now he's talking about 8 hours. So I think you guys are having a good effect on Matt. We might actually have a really long show. Let me see if I make sure we're not missing any super chats. Any last comments? No, I think we're good to get out of here. Thank you guys all for wow. Some of you guys have been here I'm seeing the names in the chat. Thank you, Ferris, for being here as well. Michigan show. Ralph, Michigan guy, thank you. Troy V, Ohio State guy, thank you guys for being here. Keep chopping. Are you? So that's
Rutgers.
See, you guys got to help me out. So we got all kinds of Big Ten people out here right now. We got Oklahoma fans and Brad. Really great show, you guys, being here. All right, we're gonna get out. Thank you so much for being here. Remember that we will be here on Monday with Mark. Also, leave that comment if you can. I appreciate you being here, but I'm going to push it. Leave that comment, all right? Fight on, you guys. We'll see you guys all next week.
Ladies and gentlemen,